funny story is that on my birth certificate, because my dad was going to A&M at that time, when I was born in Bryan, Texas, I was born at the hospital on College Station. My mom was light-skinned, and I had white on my birth certificate. So it would be funny every year we'd go to these different levels, Little League, we go to state championship here and there. And
they want to see
them checking the roster. They checking the roster. They're like, there's a black kid on the field. We don't have any black names on the roster. So, that was always fun every year.
Welcome to Unfiltered with J. Chad Parker. We're here today with a guest that's going to be very interesting. This podcast seeks to bring people on that have lived interesting lives and are living interesting lives. They have things about them that you and I have never experienced, we won't know anything about. And the reason we have these guests is to learn about how different people's lives are, but how very similar they can be. We can learn a lot of lessons from that. We can really get away from assumptions that we've made about people and learn things that may be helpful in our life. And also it'd be interesting with regard to people that we are interested in today. And I think nobody fits that more than Pat Mahomes Sr. Pat, thanks for being here today.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. It's always been a blast. Me and you go way back. We've done a lot of interesting things together, and to get a chance to come on this stage with you and be able to share with you some stories that I went through in my life, it's just a blessing.
Well, I appreciate you trusting me to be the interviewer and coming on this show. You and I have a unique relationship, and full disclosure, you'd be an interesting interview, an ex-pro baseball player in and of itself. I just happened to be in the background of a part of your life and got to know you. And so, it's going to be interesting to hear what you have to say about some of the questions I don't know that I've ever asked you.
Well, it's going to be crazy, because we've been around each other so much, and we've done so much together, from going to Taylor, Michigan to, knowing you from the beginning and when I was off playing baseball and having you there to, kind of be my eyes for me for, Lil Pat and some of the guys that, we had trained for so long. And, man, it was just great to have somebody like you that I knew I could depend on.
Well, I appreciate that. But this interview, I wanted to have this interview be about you because I think what has been missed in a lot of interviewing about you and Patrick is they've skipped to the part where you were a professional athlete. That's where it started. And I'd like to go back, to the beginning, where you lived, how you lived, what you accomplished, and how you made a decision that led to you being in professional sports. Okay.
Well, I grew up in, a small town, Lindale, Texas. Population probably about 3,000 people when I was going there. And of course now it's a lot bigger and got some bigger stars, Miranda Lambert and some of the other people now. But I grew up like I think most kids did, in a small town, and I played, all the sports and all that, and I was able to be pretty good at most of them. And I got an opportunity when I was younger to play baseball. My father coached me, Johnny Mahomes, and he coached me all the way up to high school until I, got up there and started playing ball and kind of excelled at, all three sports, and then had to make a tough decision when I turned 17 years old and graduated high school.
Well, let me back up a little bit. I had the good fortune of knowing Johnny and Cindy for a long time. But ever since I knew Cindy, she was in a wheelchair. How old was Cindy, your mother, when she was in a wheelchair?
Well, my mom is actually 17 years older than me, so I was 7, so that meant she had to be 24 at the time that she had her accident, which was a pretty tough time for me. I actually lived with my grandmother, and I didn't get to see my mom for like a year and a half. They didn't want me to see her because that's how tight me and my mom were, and they knew that it would tear me down pretty good if I got to see her in the stage at what she was at that time. You know, she had a car accident. She was paralyzed from the neck down, and you know, they shaved her head, put her in the halo, and all that stuff, and they didn't want me to see that. So I grew up with my grandparents. My grandfather actually died a couple months later, so I lived with my grandmother and my great grandmother for about 2.5, 3 years, and she was God-fearing woman that went to church. Yeah, I mean, I think we went to church 4 or 5 times a week, and that was the life that I was given at that time. And I think it actually made me a stronger person because of being in that church all the time. So I laugh at it now, but it was a good thing for me at that time.
What about Johnny? What's always struck me about Johnny is he always was so supportive. He was there. He was helpful to Cindy at all times. He always had a good attitude about it. Is that how you remember your dad, growing up? Was he that way?
Well, me and my dad, we talk about it to this day. He was a awesome guy. I mean, I'm very, very proud to call him my father. You know, he worked at an oil and gas company. Worked different shifts all the time, was always working, but he always found time, to be supportive of me. And that's something that I look back at, and that's something that I tried to do, as I became a father and had children and everything, trying to be at those games. But the job that he did with my mom, the way he took after her and did everything for her for, oh, I guess probably around 49, 50 years. I mean, it's something that is to be commended. And I'm just glad and I'm just proud to call him my father.
Yeah, I mean, I gathered that, your parents, they always seemed to be very supportive of what you were doing, even when you were older. Of course, they followed Patrick to just about every game that Johnny could get her there in the van, from what I could see. They seem very dedicated, not only to you, but also to Patrick. I mean, is that how you remember them through the years?
Oh, I remember just like that. It is no different with your parents. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've been in the foxhole together. Been at different schools, different facilities, and things turn wrong. And, knowing that, we had each other and we were going to be okay, but yeah, they did their best to come and support as much as possible. Actually, when, Patrick was, born, my father was in, pretty bad health, and it didn't look good. I mean, we really didn't think he was going to make it. And one thing that he would always say is he would say that if I could just live long enough to see my grandson, then I'll be okay. And then it seemed that once Patrick was born and he saw him, everything just turned around, and here he is. He's still here today. So um, family has always been big in our family, and I'm just glad that he's the pioneer. He's the pioneer. I mean, you can say that I'm Patrick's dad and this and that, but he's the one that taught me, and I learned. I took what I learned from him, and I passed it down to Patrick, and hopefully Patrick will pass it down to Bronze.
Well, and Johnny, I don't know if he played sports growing up, but he certainly wasn't a pro athlete, was he?
No, he actually went to Bragg Morris, which was down in Lindale, and he played basketball and he played baseball. He actually played a little, I guess, is what they call a semi-pro baseball. And I was able to go see him play. He played catcher. He played pitcher. Um, his senior year is when they finally integrated the schools, and he had the option to go to Lindale, as the first segregated class, but he chose not to go because he had been there for 11 years, and he ended up being a salutatorian of his class and everything like that. So he didn't go to, he actually didn't go to Lindale. He didn't have the opportunity to play football and some of the other sports. They only had a few, and he was mostly known for playing basketball and baseball, but baseball was all his passion, and he kind of poured that into me.
Well, how old is Johnny today?
Well, I'm like once again, I'm 53, so that will make Johnny in November. He'll be 75, and he's still getting along and getting it. And, my mother actually passed a couple of years ago, so I thought that would be pretty rough for him. But he's hanging in there strong. He's actually got to go to a few more games now that he doesn't have extra duties. Like I said, getting my mom in and out of different places, and he's starting to enjoy it.
Well, let me ask you about something you said, and I don't think a lot of people listening to this might not understand what you said about Bragg Morris. There was a time when black kids went to separate schools.
Exactly.
And people, that may sound like something they've never heard before, but your dad was one of those people that was still, his opportunities were limited until you said maybe just his senior year.
Yeah, they didn't have the ability to go to the school, to the white schools and everything. And when they did, like I said, he was a senior. My uncle, which was his brother, was 1 year older. He had actually went off to A&M. He was one of the first black men in the Corps there at A&M. So
Bill?
Yeah, Bill Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he
yeah, that's right. Bill was one of the first black African American people to be in the Corps at Texas A&M, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I actually went last year, and he's on the board of regents. He's the chairman of the board there still today, and he actually got inducted to their distinguished gentlemen's program the other day, which they only let like 10 or 15 guys in. And he's there now in Monument Park, and like I said, he's on the board and everything. And my dad actually followed him up there, but he decided that the women were a little bit more important in the school at that time, so he ended up not being there long, but he did go there. So, but as far as that, my mom, she went to Lindale. She actually went to Lindale High School.
She was younger.
Yeah, she was younger. She ran track and played softball and volleyball there at Lindale, so she was able to be a part of it. But my dad, he never had that opportunity where you could get exposed, where you could play pro ball. I mean, I guess he could have took the Negro League route or something like that, but they kind of barnstorm, they played,
Right.
They played in different places. They go to Longview, they go to Hawkins, they go to, Jarvis Christian and play different teams. And by the time I was a young kid, 5, 6 years old, I actually got to see him playing some games.
Well, it sounded like that Johnny, your dad, that he had a love for baseball that may have influenced your decision when you went to the pros?
Yeah, definitely. I started playing baseball when I was 4 years old, and played all the way up. I was always, pretty much the only black kid on the team.
Out there in Lindale.
Out there in Lindale, I played all of them. And, it's a funny story is that on my birth certificate, because my dad was going to A&M at that time. When I was born in Bryan, Texas, I was born at the hospital on College Station. My mom was light skinned, and I had white on my birth certificate. So it would be funny every year we'd go to these different levels, Little League, we go state championship here and there. And the
they want to see
would be checking the roster. They checking the roster. They's like, there's a black kid on the field. We don't have any black names on the roster. So, that was always fun every year. But, he loved the game of baseball. Gary Templeton, Bob Gibson, those were the guys that, he kind of idolized growing up. And he wanted me to be that. And I kind of had a lot of success playing basketball, and I was going to go play basketball at the University of Arkansas and walk on and play on the baseball team there. But he kind of said, hey, here's your opportunity to get a chance to play professional baseball. Let's get it started now. And ultimately, that's what I chose.
Well, you mentioned Bob Gibson and some of these guys. Some of these guys followed, Jackie Robinson's entrance into the major leagues after World War II, right? And then that started kind of a steady trickle of players into the major leagues that had never had the chance to play there before. That's who you're talking about with Johnny having these guys he liked.
Exactly. It was, starting to get where you would have an opportunity to play in the big leagues, and the success I'd had as a youth and as a high school player, he kind of figured from watching what he had watched between the Negro leagues and now these guys integrating into MLB, that he thought I had a chance to have a chance to play baseball, in the big leagues, and he was just eager for me to, be better than he was, have a chance to play in the big leagues, and I took the opportunity. It didn't start off too good, but once we got to rolling, and I got there pretty fast.
Well, let's back up a little bit. Lindale, Texas, at the time you were growing up, you've mentioned, your dad obviously went to a segregated school. It's a very small town at the time. What do you remember about specifically the way people treated you, either differently or with prejudice or anything else when you think back? Do you remember any of that? Any of those things stick in your mind?
Well, not so much. I was fortunate to have coaches and friends that was really never an issue. Yeah, I mean, there were isolated incidents, here or there, but for the most part, it was a community place. A lot of these kids that I grew up similar to Patrick and Jake and Ryan and all his friends, we were always together. We always played baseball together. We played football together. We played basketball together. So I was always around them. I spent a lot of nights, just like Patrick did with you. I spent a lot of nights at white people's houses, and I was never really, treated any differently. Other than, you could
The
get in
occasional
certain situations, the
knuckleheads.
occasional knucklehead there or this, but, my parents would always say, treat everybody the same, and if, just be careful, and things happen, and it's going to be bad for everybody. So I just kind of try to stay on the straight and narrow and just try to do what I had to do. Go to school, get my grades, go play my games, and just go out and live life.
Well, growing up, as you go into high school, you're obviously living in the home with your mother and father at this point, right?
Yes.
How is it? Is it harder for you? Is it harder for Cindy, your mother, to get you ready to go to school, to make your lunch, to send you off, to come watch you play? I mean, tell us about that dynamic that's different, say, than someone whose mother did not have this injury.
Well, I grew up fast, 7 years old, like you said, my mother being in a wheelchair. I had to learn how to, defend for myself because my dad was still out there working.
Did he work at La Gloria?
Yeah, he worked at La Gloria Oil and Gas Company over there. I think they call it Delic now.
They do.
And I had to learn fast, but, I had, like I said, my grandmother, I grew up with her. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to clean. She took me how to get myself ready to go to school. People laugh, but I tell people my mom had a van that was equipped with stuff for her to drive, and I can remember driving myself to school at 8, 9 years old, in Lindale, and couldn't touch the pedals, using the stick she had for the gas and this for the brake, and learning that, and the police just kind of, keeping a blind eye because they knew what was going on, and, so I learned quick. So, stuff like that, didn't bother me. Plus I had a brother and a sister that, I had to look over too, because, like I said, Dad was working, and when he couldn't be there, I was the quote unquote man of the house, and it just made me grow up quicker and understand responsibilities, and I think it helped me out a lot.
Well, you mentioned siblings, and there hadn't been a lot of talk about this, but you actually you were the oldest of your brothers and sisters.
Yes.
You had a brother and a sister,
Mm-hmm.
Eric, I believe, and Tanisha.
Is correct.
And what were their age differences below you?
Well, Tanisha was actually 3 years. She was the youngest. She was 3 years younger than me, and my brother was actually 11 months younger than me. Um, they were, they were interesting. We all have our own minds, and my brother was, a little rougher than the rest, and my sister actually had went through some medical stuff when she was younger. They actually thought she had sickle cell, but it turned out to be that she didn't, and she had a rough time for a while, but she, of course, went on to play college sports and everything and worked in the military and everything. So we still have, all three of us still have a tight knit relationship with each other. And, it worked out okay.
But my point was, I'm sure there was responsibility that you had to have being, 3 years older than Tanisha, about a year older than Eric, as your mother was limited from doing certain things physically. I mean, tell us, what it felt like to be kind of the older brother with the responsibility of kids while, of course, Johnny's working whatever shifts LaGloria's requiring.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of dynamics. I learned how to fix hair. I learned how to fix girls' hair very quickly. I learned how to teach my brother that you need to take a shower and put deodorant on the arms and stuff like that. So I cooked, I cleaned, I made sure that they did what they had to do, homework, stuff like that. Just kind of being a parent but not a parent, a parent and a brother, but making sure they were well protected. And as you know, as a family, as tight as your family is, that we all look out for each other and make sure that what needs to get done gets done. And that's kind of what was my role, to make sure that I took out any distractions and made sure that the job at hand was handled.
Well, and you mentioned, homework and things of that nature. In doing my research on you, there was a lot of things about you I did not know. One of them was when you graduated from Lindale, you were not only in the National Honor Society, but you had the second highest grade point average in the graduating class. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. I had to get after it. My mom actually had a couple of degrees after she had an accident. She went back to school and finished a couple of degrees. Before she had the injury, she was a RN. So, education was very big for her, and she instilled that in me from the beginning. And, back then, it was, no pass, no play. And so I knew that I had to get the work done in there before I could go out on the field and get the work done out there. So, kept it on, started taking honor classes, early on, and was fortunate enough to have a lot of great teachers there at Lindale that stayed on my behind and didn't let me get the big head about the sports and all that, and just grinded every day. And to me, that's still a competition. It's just like, baseball, basketball, football, anything else. You want to be the best. Fortunate enough, unfortunate, Cassie Stone was a little bit better than I was. So she was valedictorian.
Well, Patrick, was a good student as well at White House, wasn't he?
Yes. He actually, he has what they call eidetic memory. And I think you've described it before, where he can see something and he can recall it just like he saw it the first time. He could be reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and you can ask him, Boo Radley said this and that on, what page was that, and he can tell you what chapter it was and what paragraph and all that. So that's why when it came to the point when he had talked to me about coming out early for the draft, and he was telling me what the draft board, you send in a letter to them and figure out kind of where they got you, slotted in the draft. And they told him, at best second round pick or this and that. And I was like, I'm not worried about what they say, because I know something that everybody else don't know. I know that your recall is different. And once they put you in front of the classroom and the whiteboards and all that, that you're going to do some crazy thing that's going to wow them and you're going to move up. So I wasn't worried about that. The only thing I was worried about was he able to lead grown men? And once he assured me that he was able to lead grown men, then I told him he should go.
Well, and we're going to circle back to your high school career because there's similarities. Both of you were highly intelligent just based on the grades that were made in high school, but also you played 3 sports. Did you not?
Yeah, I played 3 sports. I actually played 4. I actually played I played football, basketball, and baseball. And for some odd reason, the coach came out and didn't have anybody doing the field events, and I ended up doing the high jump, and actually went to state in the high jump my senior year. So I played all of them. That's what you did back then. You know how we did it back then. Kids that we didn't have the phones and the iPhones and all that stuff, or we played games on the phone. You went outside and you played, and all the kids in the neighborhood, they played this game, that game, and you went out and played. And so there was no specializing as they do today. I'm in the youth space, coaching baseball still to this day, and I do a lot of stuff with MLB in the youth space, and everything is more specialized. But in my opinion, the more sports you can play, the better, because they all tie into each other. And that's what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be doing something. I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be watching TV. I didn't want to watch The Simpsons. I wanted to go out there with my friends and go out there and compete. And that's the same attitude, I think, that Patrick, Jake, Ryan, Coleman, all those guys did. You go out and you play each sport, and you're trying to prove that you're the best in each sport, and playing as a team, and teamwork ties in together.
You stand close to 6'4" today?
Oh yeah, right at there.
Now tell everybody how tall you were in the 8th grade and kind of, what allowed you growing wise to eventually make it to the pros.
Well, I was 5'4" in 8th grade. I was actually 5'6" in 9th grade. I got up to 5'8" in 10th grade, 5'9" in 11th grade, and I graduated at 6'1", 175 pounds, 17 years old. Got drafted, went off to pro ball, come back 3 months later, and I was 6'4", 205 pounds. So it kind of hit real quick.
Well, I think we've got an old Tyler Morning Telegraph article here. This is the young Pat Mahomes Sr. And I'm surprised we don't see Phil Hicks's name down there. But, we always fudged a little bit back in the day. You see they've got you at 6'2"?
Yeah, just a little bit. 6'2", 180.
180. That was a true 6'1", 175.
Yeah, 6'1", 175, but with the cleats on, it got me up to 6'2".
It looks like, it was your senior year. And they talked about your last year, your junior year. So, I mean, it sounds like you went into your senior year in football season. I'm assuming then basketball, then baseball, kind of, that was a hot time for you.
Well, it was kind of crazy. Actually, I had my sophomore year, I started at safety, which is
exactly like Patrick.
Exactly what Patrick did, but I was actually strong safety. I wasn't weak safety. And back then, all the teams were running, the power out, the veer. And so my job was pretty much I was an outside linebacker. I got to get up and make them turn over the field. And, they had the 2 running backs in front, one in the, one back in the eye. And after getting hit a few times, I kind of decided that wasn't a thing for me. So the quarterback in front of me was a guy by the name of Casey Neal, and he ended up playing at Sam Houston State. And so my senior year, I wasn't going to play football. We were already ranked preseason #1 in basketball, so I was in basketball off season, and we got a new head coach, a guy by the name of Gary Thiebaud. Had came from, I think Waxahachie, I think is where he came from. He came in and he called me over and convinced me to come, play on the football team and play quarterback my senior season. And actually had a pretty good year and and enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I'm thankful that he did give me to play because I was not going to play my senior year.
And you played quarterback, and you won some honors. I think, if I don't know what they were, but I mean, did you win like all district or
Yeah,
something in
I
football?
was MVP of the district. I was MVP of East Texas, and I made all state. But football, I mean, that's more of a game for like you and the tough guys. I mean, I was a guy that didn't like to get hit, so that was
Yeah.
never going to be in my future. I went on a few recruit visits. I went to Southern Miss, Northwestern State, and SMU. But I mean, I knew from the beginning I wasn't going to be a football player.
You loved basketball, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I loved it, man. I mean, that was my passion. I wish I'd have known I was going to grow 3 inches after I turned 17 because it would have been a no doubter because I wanted to play basketball. My mom wanted me to play basketball, but my dad wanted me to play baseball. And my dad had been, going to everything since I was a young kid. And, how we lean towards our fathers, I figured he knows best. But, if I could go back and in time and do it again, yeah, I probably would have played basketball.
And the second question to that would be, if you could go back again and you were in the exact same spot, would you have gone to college, you know, to play basketball and potentially baseball as opposed to, take the MLB contract like you did?
Well, the person in me says yes. Um, the person that I know, I don't know if that would have been a good situation
Well,
for
like,
me.
who you were, who was Pat Mahomes Sr. back in 1988 or whenever it was?
Well, he was a country boy that if he'd have got in a big city, he might have did a lot of stuff wrong, but um, I asked the question is if did I think I could have made it to the NBA in basketball? Yeah, I could have made it to the NBA. I believe so, and with all my heart, I've seen some of the guys that I played with make it, but I wanted to play basketball, but I cannot, frown upon baseball because, I went there and, 3 years later I was in the big leagues and I was fortunate enough to get to play for 12 seasons there in the big leagues. So to say that I made a wrong choice, I can't say that. I just feel like that I had a lot more to offer in basketball.
Well, and there's also this issue of, well, you go to college, you play baseball, you get in the major league draft after your sophomore year, and you develop more as a player, as a person, or whatever, and maybe there's some type of longevity, a better contract, or something. Do you ever think about things like that?
Oh, definitely. Baseball is definitely the safest. Basketball, I would say, is second safest. The rate of playing in the NFL, what is 3.5, 4 years, so that makes it rough. You don't always think about that. You got guaranteed contracts in baseball. You got almost guaranteed contracts in basketball, and football is just guaranteed money, signing bonuses or whatever,
While you're still
while
upright.
you're still upright. So, uh, financial wise, I would say I made the right choice. Heart wise, I would say that basketball would have been the right choice for me.
All right. And so, obviously you have these views because you've lived them. You understand what guaranteed contracts are in baseball. You've seen the talent level. You didn't know that at the end of your 12th grade year in high school. Your father's saying, hey, something very similar, like, hey, this looks like this might be a better route for you to change your life from where we've come from. Was that part of it as well?
Well, to be truthfully, Chad, and there was a lot of factors in that situation. I'm been watching my father, work at the oil company since, I can remember since I was born. I'm watching my mom in a wheelchair and my dad taking care of her every day, and knowing what kind of financial burden, it was on him. And here's an opportunity to get, a lump sum of money and to be able to help out. Yeah, I was playing man of the house and taking care of the brother and the sister and everything that I needed to take care of. But now here was an opportunity for me to provide financially to my family. So to me, that was the biggest motivating situation for it all, to be able to, he doesn't have to pay for me anymore. I'm out making my own money, and then I can help with, some of the stuff that's going on with the family and help them out. And if I'm good enough, if I'm good as I think I am, and I can make it to the big leagues and get a chance to make some of the big money, then it's going to make it that much easier for my family. So that's was part of it. To be honest with you, I didn't want to go.
No, I know you didn't.
I didn't want to go. I
You were
wanted,
homesick,
yeah,
weren't you?
exactly. Yeah, man. And then I had probably the worst first professional game any person could ever see in their life. First game I pitched in
Elizabethan.
Elizabethton, Tennessee. I pitched the third of an inning. I gave up 9 runs, and I'll never forget my ERA.
That's got to be a confidence
Yeah,
killer.
my ERA was 243. I'll never forget it. And I remember the manager coming to take me out the field, take me out of the game, and I remember crying walking off the mound. I'm 17 years old.
I mean, I've got your Topps card here, okay? And I don't think people realize that you went to school early, and when you were with grown men in the locker room traveling around the minor leagues, you were 17-year-old and this kid right here.
Yeah, and to tell you, well, the funny thing about it, that kid right there is that when I got drafted, when I signed, being from Lindale, back then, you had WGN, you had TBS, you could watch the Cubs and you could watch the Braves. I didn't know they had minor leagues. So when I signed, I thought I was going straight to Minnesota. And the scout was telling me, he said, well, you're going to go to Melbourne, Florida.
You're like,
I'm like, for what? And they're like, well, we're going to get you ready for the upcoming season. I said, well, I'm playing American Legion ball right now. I'm ready to go right now. I'm thinking I'm going to Minnesota. And they sent me to Elizabethton, Tennessee, which is smaller than Lindale, Texas. I go down there and, I'm at practice first day, and they had like a little country store, a little mom and pop shop at the top. I go up there, and I go in there and get a couple Gatorades after practice, and I go to the bathroom. I say, hold on, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom, use the bathroom. I turn around and install, and I look at the door, and it says, KKK meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I learned to be small real quick. I moved to the next city over and commuted back and forth.
Well, it looks like from your resume, you got there, but you kind of started quick. You went from A to double A to looks like triple A and then triple A plus or something, quick, right?
Yeah.
And then you were in the Minnesota Twins organization from the start to finish until you actually got called up?
Yeah. I actually I did a level each year because I was so young, and and back then they didn't jump you, they didn't want you to get you up there too quick because they thought it would spook you. I actually got to double A and pitched probably the best I'd ever pitched in my life, and halfway, I went to the All-Star game. I won MVP at the All-Star game, and thought I was going to the big leagues. The general manager came down and watched me pitch the first game of doubleheader, which was 7 innings, and I threw a one-hitter, struck out 14, and thought I was going straight to the big leagues, but they sent me to Triple A. And then after that season, the following year, I went to my first big league camp, and I made the team out of there, and so I started my career in '92.
Well, you kind of started as a starting pitcher and eventually became known as kind of as a long man. I've an inning eater. I've read that about you. Tell the people that are listening what kind of a long man, a long closer, or an inning eater. How is that different from a pitcher that say starts a game?
Well, the thing about it, I started at the beginning. I started the first 3 years.
As a starting pitcher.
As a starting
in
pitcher,
the rotation.
which I pitched once every fifth day.
Okay.
Once every fifth day I got the ball. That was my day, and I'd go out and pitch and whatever. But as a starting pitcher, back then it's the game is a lot different now. Now a starting pitcher might go 4 or 5 innings. Back then you went 7, 8 innings. So you couldn't showcase all your wares in the first 2, 3 innings, because you're going to face this guy again 2 or 3 times. So you got to save something different.
Otherwise, he knows what you're doing.
He knows exactly what you're doing. Whereas in 95, I started pitching out of the bullpen. First I started short relief and then I did long relief. But as a short reliever, I might see this guy one time so I can pull out the whole bag, and it's all energy, I'm max effort, I'm going right at you, I'm going to see you one time and here's everything I got, see if you can hit it. So it's a whole different mentality. And actually the pitching out of the bullpen was better for me because I wasn't the guy that wanted to hold back. You
want to throw as hard as you could.
Exactly. I want to let it go and hey, here it is. Let's see what happens between me and you. Whereas I don't have to set you up, this at bat now to know that I'm going to use this on you, this at bat. So it actually helped me out being in the bullpen.
So we get to 1992, and I know April, I think it's the 12th, you start your first game for the Minnesota Twins, right?
Yes, sir.
You are you number 23 at that point?
I'm number 20, actually.
Okay, you were 20 and 23 at different times.
Yes.
All right. Any significance behind the number 20 with Minnesota?
No significance. I actually...
We're not to the Mets yet, but we're getting there. But it's okay.
In spring training, I was number 21. It was the number they assigned me. And there was 5 guys trying out for one spot. And the manager, Tom Kelly, actually said, whoever pitches the best is going to get this one spot. And I pitched at spring training, and I was outstanding. And I gave up 2 runs the last day, and I ended up making the team. But my best friend through the minor leagues, who I'd played with for 3 years, he was number 21. And he was on the cusp of getting to the big leagues. So instead of
taking his number
21, and then once he gets to the big league having to switch over, I just chose the number 20.
Now I see that the first game that you ever pitched as a professional for Minnesota was against the Texas Rangers.
That's correct.
Was it in Minnesota or was it in Arlington?
It was in Minnesota. It was a Sunday night. It was a ESPN game against the Texas Rangers, who I had pitched 5 innings against my last start in spring training and no-hit them for 5 innings. And so I was pitching against...
the same people?
Yeah, same people. But I'm pitching against Kevin Brown, who's their ace.
Huh.
And I vividly remember that game because the first 8 pitches I threw, and you can watch it on YouTube and all that because I'm Googleable. I am Googleable, so you can see my games. I threw 8 strikes and I walked 2 guys. And so I got guy on first and second, no outs. I do the same pickoff move that I was doing for years, that it picked off 20-some guys a year, and they call a balk. Next 2 guys get out, and Juan Gonzalez comes up, and I throw him a 2-1 slider that was a pretty good pitch that he hit over the fence at the Metrodome to make it 3-0. And I remember stepping off the back of the mound and looking up and going, it's not going to go down like this. So, I'm getting ready to turn it up.
Were you nervous?
I was very, very nervous.
I mean, the first game, time out.
Very, very, very nervous. But I ended up pitching, 6 or 7 innings that game. I think I gave up 2 hits and 3-run homer was all, and I ended up getting a no decision, against the hometown team.
But like for a person who doesn't understand, scoring a baseball game, what would a no decision be?
Well, that means I pitched, when I came out of the game, the score was tied. So I don't get a win or I don't get a loss. I don't get a win or I don't get a loss. But it was crazy because I remember it was ESPN first Sunday night game. And I remember it being about 58,000 people in the stands. And I remember coming down, 30 minutes before the game to get ready to go warm up because I used to have this routine where I go out and I jog a lap or two, just kind of getting loose and everything. And I do my long toss and all that. And I remember walking out. When I walked out, there was a big blanket hanging from the banners and it said, "Welcome to Mahomes Dome." And I was like, oh man, that's pretty neat. And then so I started going down the line and there's about a 15-year-old girl, and she has this sign and it says, "Mahomes is my hero." And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And then I get out there, I'm warming up and everything's good. And one of the things that they liked about me is that I didn't get too, you know, nervous or anything like that. But I remember sitting in that dugout before I was getting ready to go out there for that first pitch, and I'm going, shit, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs. And then once I got out there and I got through the welcome to the MLB stage, where they was
Right.
testing you, the umpires calling balls, calling strikes balls.
Did they really do that?
Oh yeah, back then they did. But see, back then the umpires couldn't get fired. See, it was different.
Yeah.
It was different. They could do whatever they wanted to, and with nothing, no repercussions. And so they would just test you just to see if you were going to be that guy that's going to mouth off or say something to them. And I just kind of took it. I just kind of took it. I'm like, if that's not a strike, then it's going to be a long night for me. So.
But a lot has changed in baseball.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
different.
You probably, you shouldn't have taken a greenie, and you might not have been so nervous.
Hey, back then they were legal. They didn't test.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. I mean, that might have had you amped up a little.
Well, I learned out quick, to find the right dosage.
Well, it wasn't even 2 weeks later that you got your first win with the Twins against Seattle. Is that right?
Yeah, I pitched against Randy Johnson.
The big unit?
The big unit, yeah. And I think I ended up beating them 7-1, but it was crazy because I remember everybody always thought, all the guys, they didn't really know me. I was the only rookie on the team when I went to the big leagues.
And you were how old?
I was 21 years old.
In 1992?
Yeah, I was 21 years old, and they had heard about me, and the word on the street was that I was crazy, because I talked to my arm, I talked to myself all the time. I sit in the corner by myself. I wore all black, nobody knew anything about me. And that was just kind of
self-motivation.
This mystique that I built up by myself. I just wanted everybody, I didn't want nobody to have an edge. I wanted everybody to not know me. I didn't want to be your friend. I wanted you to think that, hell, he might do this, he might hit me, he might do whatever. And that's just something that I had built myself up in. And I remember I was facing Ken Griffey Jr., who was, I think, 22. We were like the youngest two guys in the big leagues.
He also played for Seattle.
Yeah, he was in the big leagues time. And the first at bat, I threw 3 fastballs right by him. Boom, boom, boom. Struck him out.
You said all night.
Yeah, so I run in the dugout and I'm talking and I'm like,
because you trash talked in baseball.
Oh yeah, I trash talked with the best of them.
And if you would have had to bat, you'd have got beaned.
Yeah, I got beaned several times, and I beaned several people. But yeah, so I'm sitting there talking to myself, and I'm like, they can't mess with you, maybe not in those words, but I'm telling you, they can't mess with you, you whatever. So I go back out the next time, and I face him again. I throw 3 more right by him. And when I struck him out the second time, I jumped up off the mound and I told him, I said, GD, get used to that.
Yeah.
I said, get used to that, MF, and I run it off and I jumped the line and I get in the dugout and I'm sitting there and Kirby Puckett, who had the day off that day, he's sitting there and he's looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with this kid? And I'm sitting there, talking. And then the third at bat, I come up, I'm winning 4-0. And bases are loaded, he comes up. And the first pitch, he hits a grand slam off of me.
Karma.
And
what goes around comes around.
Here's a grand slam. He looks right at me on the mound. He's just like looking at me walking to first base. And I'm like, shit, And so he goes in, and after the inning is over, and I come in, and I never forget it. Kirby Puckett was sitting there, and he goes, son, he said, I'm going to tell you something. He goes, in this game, you let a sleeping dog lie. And I was like, okay, well noted.
Well, the funny part about this story that's serious is that you're a 21-year-old kid. You've been on the road, on the, I don't know, it's not really a wealthy, fashionable minor leagues, right? I mean, you're
Oh,
staying in
no.
hotels,
Oh,
you're
no.
riding buses, okay. But you've got no father like you were to Patrick to talk to. And is this part of the reason why you kind of were acting crazy or staying to yourself because you really didn't know what to expect next in your journey in the major leagues?
Well, it is a different game. Back then,
They could haze you.
oh shit, back then,
I mean,
they thought it was cutthroat. I mean, they thought if you come up, you're a pitcher and I'm a pitcher, then this guy's trying to take my job. So
yeah.
they didn't offer any information, any encouragement,
They didn't Alex Smith
no,
you.
no, they didn't Alex Smith me. And I actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually told Alex Smith that in Houston when he was working with Patrick. I was telling him, I said, but
You better be lucky.
I know you ain't got to do this, and I appreciate it so much. That ain't how it went through. I mean, I remember stories when I came up. It's right after the Twins won the World Series in '91, and I was asking Jack Morris. I was like, hey, I'm Pat Mahomes, and I really like you, and I like that split finger pitch you throw. If you get a chance, could you
Show it to me?
Show it to him. And he was like, get away from me. He go, hell, you'll be trying to take my job next year. And that's the way it was back then.
Yeah.
So like you said, you didn't have anybody really teaching you, especially a pitcher on your team. Now, maybe some of the other guys on other teams, they would, help out a little bit, but for the most part, you were on your own.
But I mean, you had the benefit of a very hard professional league to exist in. I mean, you could offer your son, I'm sure, Patrick, a lot of information, wisdom, about the doubts he would have about himself, what it would be like in a much easier environment that he ultimately went into.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons I got out of the game when I did get out was, Patrick and see, I consider Jake
And
Coleman.
Jake is my son.
Yeah.
I mean, which I don't want any of this to be about us, but this is about you. But for the people that aren't listening, they hear Jake and Coleman. These are two guys that were in Patrick's wedding, and they've grown up with him since they were essentially in elementary or middle school.
But I actually consider all those kids as my son because me and you had coached them and all that, and that was the reason why I actually stopped playing. I could have kicked it around in minor leagues and get signed with an organization and maybe get a call up here and there, but I wanted to go back and let them know the stuff that I went through, so maybe they would have an easier route because I saw the potential and in all those kids to be better players, and I knew they had a chance, all of them, to play professionally. So that was the reason why I came back, and people don't realize that when you have been through it and you get to see everything that's going down, the more you can come back and ease some of those pressures on them, then the more successful they could possibly be.
Well, I mean, you got some pretty good experience through 11 to 12 seasons in the major leagues. You played the most of your time, 4 or 5 years with Minnesota. Is that right?
That's correct.
You had the good fortune of being with the New York Mets for 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, they made it to the World Series?
Yeah, we went to the World Series. We lost in the NLCS in 1999, which was probably the best team that I'd ever been on. We actually fell behind 3-0, and we came back and won 2. And I actually pitched Game 6. I had to come in the first inning. We were down 4-0, and I came in and pitched 4 innings. And we actually got to a point where we went ahead that game, but we ended up losing it at the end. I think Kenny Rogers walked the guy in. And then in the following year, we went to the World Series, which was, everybody will remember, that's the series where where Clemens threw the bat at Piazza. And we ended up losing to the Yankees, I think, in 5 games. But yeah, probably the best times of my life, was playing for the New York Mets after coming back from Japan.
Yeah, because you had a little stint of 2 years in Yokohama. In between, it looks like Minnesota
Boston.
or Boston.
But
After,
Minnesota, Boston, then I left from Boston and went to Japan.
and it's funny if people might have seen that as a demotion or a wrong turn for the career. You had some of your best baseball the 2 years that followed that. If you look at the stats,
Yeah, I realized that I better get my shit straight.
right?
It was kind of that moment where I kind of forced myself to go over there because of my ego and not letting anybody tell me what to do. And then once I went over there, it hit home, and I had a great time over there. I was fortunate enough to win a Japan World Series over there in '98, and then was able to come back in '99 to play for the Mets. But then I knew once I came back, this was going to be it. This is my last opportunity, and I knew I had to make the best out of it. And I just, went on the grind. It was time to go, and I was fortunate enough to go 8-0 that year with the Mets and pitch very well during the playoffs, and then come back and have a solid season the next year. And in 2000, then I got the chance to come back home and play for the Rangers.
Well, before we get to those teams, I want to know, how would you critique yourself after the 2 years in Japan at Yokohama? What's the difference, if there is, at this point? Maybe you haven't changed. Maybe you've learned a little. Maybe you learned more later. But who's the Pat Mahomes that goes to Japan, and who's the Pat Mahomes that comes back from Japan and goes to the Mets?
Well, the Pat Mahomes that went to Japan was very, very arrogant. Thought his shit didn't stink.
Not a good teammate.
Not a good teammate.
Not coachable.
Not coachable. Set in his own ways. Talked back to authority. Was rebellious.
Not a good player for the rookies. A modeler.
Well, I wouldn't say as far as the team, I was okay. The guys always kind of looked up to me, but I didn't lead in a way that I should have led. I would be one that the pitching coach said something that I didn't like, I would snap back and say something
like, "Well, yeah. I'm pitching, you're coaching. You never been here.
Never been here,
right?
That right. Type of guy." And then after going over there to Japan and seeing how they worked, 1,000 ground balls a day, running all kind of sprints during the day, and all the stuff that they put in just to have an opportunity to come over here to try and play.
Right. This is like their minor league tryout.
Exactly.
For one Japanese player to make it and move to the major league,
to the big leagues.
But yeah. What about the the respect culture that Japan maybe still is, but I know was at the time?
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable, and a lot of that is based on age. You had guys that had to do certain things because the other guy was older than me. It was all respect. They respect the game. Hey, I remember going over there and bringing sunflower seeds with me and trying to spit them, like we do here.
And they like
you don't spit on the field here. You don't spit sunflowers.
You don't take your shoes in the house.
Yeah, exactly. You don't take your shoes in the house. You don't spit on. This is sacred. This is sacred ground. You should feel privileged to be able to go out here and play.
This isn't about you.
It ain't about
it's
you.
It's about the game.
Yeah, it's about the game. It's all about the game, and I learned that quickly. And
because everybody else was frowning.
Exactly. Have to adapt to it and this and that. So I knew that once that was over, that I was coming back and I was going to take every day and make the most of it and being a great teammate and being all that. That's when everything turned around. I ended up not losing a game for like 4 years. So. It all just kind of hit home and went off.
Well, there's a couple of lessons here. The first one might not be a lesson, but I'm curious. There was a movie with Tom Selleck called Mr. Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
He goes over there and plays on a Japanese team. Did you see the movie? Do you know?
Yeah, I did see the movie.
All right. That pretty much catches what you were doing, right? You showed up. He was a little cocky. Did you hit or just pitch when you went to
No,
Japan?
I hit too.
You hit?
Yeah, I hit too. Yeah, yeah. I actually hit very well over there.
I mean, you weren't a bad hitter. You just probably didn't practice a whole lot.
No, I actually hit pretty good over there. I actually hit 385 over there, and I don't think I saw a fastball. I hit a couple home runs early. And I didn't see a fastball for about 2.5 months over there. So they knew I could hit a little bit, so they threw me split fingers and stuff like that. But all those customs and all that, man, I mean, it opens your eyes. I mean, it makes you realize because you get the little bit of homesick too. You're over there and your family can only go over there for like 60 days and they got
Were
to go
you
back.
wanting to get home or were you truly transformed by the culture?
Well, I was wanting to get home, but I knew what I had to do to get home.
Yeah. Okay. So nobody ever said you were dumb, right? I mean,
no. I knew what I had to do to get home. So.
Okay. So the Pat Mahomes that comes back to the New York Mets, he's not exactly, the samurai warrior at this point, is he?
No. He's glad to be back on American soil. He's that guy, but. The funny story about that is I signed with the Mets and I ended up getting my best manager, and a lot of people don't like him.
Bobby Valentine.
But Bobby Valentine.
Right.
And he kind of changed my life.
He liked you though, didn't he?
Yeah, he loved me. And he was straightforward with me from the beginning, and he let me be me. And when I say let me be me, he didn't tell me I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that.
Couldn't do what, though? What are we talking about? When a manager tells a professional athlete, a grown man, what does he say? Hey, you can't do this. Is it go out at night? Is it not practice this way? What is it?
No, what it was with me is I wanted to go out and just be me. I wanted to go out and compete.
You were more animated than some pitchers back then.
I want to go out and compete, stare you down,
jump over the line,
look at you, talk to you, tell you can't hit me, whatever, and just be me. And he would let me be me. And yes, I was the long reliever. I'm supposed to pitch after the starter messes up, or
you're the inning eater.
I'm the inning eater, but he used me in every role.
Right, you started some games, didn't you?
I would come in the second inning. I'd come in the ninth inning. I'd come in extra innings. And he had the utmost
confidence
and faith in me. And as an athlete, when you have that,
you responded well to that.
You respond well to it, and I was on the right team at the right time with the right manager, and it just made a great mix.
And this picture that's up, it kind of it symbolizes the old Pat Mahomes. That is, confident, arrogant, detached from others. Seems unapproachable, which is exactly the opposite of how you really are in real life, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's all it's a game face.
But I mean, was it a protecting mechanism? Because
I think so.
I see this little guy who comes from Lindale. He doesn't go to college. He's kind of on his own. I'm sure your parents weren't really sending you money, so you had whatever little you made up until the point in time you got called up, right?
Yeah, I was a country boy from Lindale.
Everybody's trying to take your job, and it's cutthroat. As you said, there's no, people just trying to make sure your life is easier, right? I mean, you don't even know where you're headed.
I'm a country boy from Lindale, Texas, playing with people all over the world, not all over the United States. I'm playing with Latin guys. I'm playing with, Japanese guys. I'm playing with all these people, and we're all after the same goal. I remember the first day when I signed, when we were all in the thing, it was about 100 of us in there, and the guy going, well, there's only going to be a couple of y'all that's going to make the big leagues from this whole room.
The same speech you get
Yeah.
in the Navy SEALs and everything.
Yeah, well,
Hey, look to your left, look to your right.
Yeah.
Ain't none of them two aren't going to be here when you get through.
Exactly. There's going to be a couple of you making it. I remember vividly standing up and going, I'm making it. I'm going. So I had to put up my shield, yeah,
To help yourself
to help
along.
myself, yeah. So to be able to go out every day and do and compete and not let anybody see any weak point, even though I might be crying inside, the outside looked
Right.
like it was.
Because that's what keeps you from, it's like they smell blood in the water, right?
Exactly.
Somebody's, I got it.
Yeah.
It's like in a boxing match, like a guy gets caught with a good shot. I mean, it's about to be over, right? But as long as you maintain, this fierce persona, people stay away from you, right? And maybe you can motivate yourself to accomplish things that you couldn't otherwise do.
And that's a great picture right there because, I got the Japanese gloves on with my name on them. And then I got my New York, it's about this. And then the face, it says, hey, I mean business. But I got my Japanese bat, my Japanese gloves on, and, it all came together.
Well, Pat, we've looked at this photo again. This is before an at bat because I can't tell which, but American or National, one of them, the pitcher bats, do they not?
National.
Okay. So we were talking about this face, and this looks so far from a scared kid. How old were you, here in the Mets uniform about to step up to the plate?
Well, I was 29 years old. I was fortunate enough that I got to hit the previous 2 years in Japan because up to then I hadn't taken an at bat. I hadn't taken an at bat in the big leagues. So I hadn't hit since high school. So you figure 18 to 29, 11 years. So
pitchers don't take batting practice either, do they?
No batting practice in the American League. I played for all American League teams, which were which you have the DH, and then once I came back and got to play for the Mets, that's the National League, which you hit for yourself. The pitcher has the hit, and unless they pinch hit for you. So it was kind of I had a few at bats before then, and had been hitting the ball pretty good that season because all pitchers think pitchers can't hit, so they just kind of throw you fastball. It's kind of like grandfathered in, I'm throw you fastball, you throw me fastball. That way we don't embarrass ourselves.
It's kind of like you're the 8-hole hitter, the 9-hole hitter, right? Like hey, this is going to be an easier at bat.
Exactly. We kind of grandfather. We kind of have a gentleman's friend shake. That when the pitchers come up, no pitchers are going to go inside, and we're going to throw each other's fastball because we can't hit anyway.
But, I mean, I think everything is cataloged. Like, you had so many at-bats. It wasn't that many. Is this the 99, or do you know? This is the 13-inning game where you get a hit and you close it out with the last out. Is this 99 or 2000?
99.
All right.
I think I hit 313 that year.
All right. So this is probably the most productive season of your professional life.
Without a doubt.
Because you're hitting, you're pitching, you're doing great, and you actually pitched in the World Series, right?
Yes.
I mean, something that certainly nobody else from Lindale, Texas has ever done, right?
Not so far.
And I'm not sure if anybody from Tyler or the surrounding East Texas, or do you know somebody that may have pitched in the World Series other than you?
I don't know if Cleveland ever made to the World Series, but I would say Josh Tomlin would probably be the closest.
Right, from White House.
I know he actually pitched in the playoffs. So I don't know if they made it to the World Series or not.
And the boy that left White House and went to Brook Hills, AJ Minter,
yes.
He's still throwing right now.
Yeah, he may. Yeah, I guess he would be one that did pitch in the World Series.
I mean, I don't know if he did or has. I don't know what team he was with at the time.
Well, he's with the Braves.
He is
with the Braves the whole time. So I would say that he probably has pitched in the World Series.
All right, let me set this up. Is this the 13th inning? Because I'm not sure if it is. I know that the story goes and the facts are you got the game-winning hit in a 13-inning game, and I don't know if it was in the 13th inning or before, but you also made the third strikeout to end the game to win the 13th inning.
Yeah, this was definitely in the 13th inning. We had I had 2 outs. I was up to bat Scott Sanders, which is a guy that I came up through the minor leagues with. He was with the Reds before, and he was with the Cubs at this time. And I ended up getting a hit off of him to drive in the winning run. But a funny story and a funny tidbit that a lot of people don't know is in the bottom of the 13th with I was pitching, I got the first 2 guys out, and he comes up to bat, and I fall behind him 3-1, and I get it to a 3-2 count, and he hits the ball off the ivy. I thought he hit a home run to tie the game back up. And
it was foul?
No, he hit it off the ivy. He gets a double off of me, the pitcher, and then so I had to face a real hitter, and I ended up striking him out to end the game.
Well, I want to draw people's attention to this. Now, you and I didn't talk about all this beforehand. You are recalling this from your own memory of being in the game, are you not?
Yes.
I mean, if people talk about Patrick and remembering in To Kill a Mockingbird, or that they installed a play in the preseason with Andy Reid, and in the Super Bowl, Patrick's like, hey, what about this play? This, I guess what I'm getting at is it seems that we're learning where a lot of this IQ, intellect, intuition comes from. I mean, I know you don't have to toot your own horn, but I mean, you're showing us how Patrick has it.
Well, it's kind of crazy because I can remember stuff like that. I can remember all the plays, all the games and stuff like that, and that's something that Patrick does. I mean, I've seen several interviews where he said, I can remember this play, this situation, this is what happened. He can tell you what happened, and I was able to do the same thing. So hopefully that's something that I passed down to him too.
Well, I mean, it's just like the in basketball, of course. I mean, I'm a general fan. Right. I mean, I'm watching it. Looks like guys are just running all over the place. You're telling me they're switching from a zone to a I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I see that,
Yeah, you just got, once you see it, man, I mean, it just sticks with us. And that's a plus.
You know what? I love this clip because I think it actually looks like Patrick the way you bat. I think he looked like you the way he bat. Now, what's funny about this hit is when you hit it, I'm thinking this is a bomb.
Yeah, I definitely caught it off the end. I definitely caught it. It looked good at the beginning, though.
Right, okay. So let's watch this. I mean, there's the game-winning hit, and it looks like, I thought it was a walk-off at first. Who's this guy?
That's Clement.
All right.
Clement is.
I mean, look at this. This looks like Patrick setting up back in the high school days. I mean, look, see.
It looked like I caught it on the barrel.
I mean, the outfield was backing too far for it.
A little duck start.
And then what's wrong with this guy running into an out?
Well, that's Benny. Benny Agbayani, he's from Hawaii, and he actually had to keep going to make sure they didn't throw the ball home to try to get the guy at home plate.
Now, I think the rest of this clip, there you come, there's Bobby.
Yep.
Now, here you are. I think this is the last out.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Same
sir.
inning. All right. There's Bobby. He's pumped up. There you go. There you're talking.
Yeah, it was it got him to a 1-2 count and threw a high fastball and was able to get it by him, and pretty pumped up about the situation, ready to get out of Chicago at that time.
Do you know if another major league pitcher has ever got the game-winning hit and, struck out or made the outs on the last inning to end the game?
I really don't know. I mean, I don't think that has ever been done before.
I've never heard of it.
I don't think it's ever been done. Key thing about that, I got the win the day before, so I was able to get 2 wins in 3 days and a game-winning game-winning RBI. So that's a pretty good weekend for me.
All right. So after the match, this is your Twins. They had different kind of cards back then, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it says score 92. Yeah. I'm assuming that was 1992?
Yes, that's it.
All right, so there you are, the young Pat Mahomes Sr. with the when people look at that, they probably notice that your tongue seems very similar to something they see with your son. Um, I mean, that's not something we've got the Mets. Here you go again. Um, I don't know if Patrick just saw you and adopted it, or whether it was something that just instinctively, uh, you know, we've seen him do. Do you know either way about that?
I just think, I mean, when we're really, really concentrating on something, I don't know where it comes from, it comes out. And, it's funny because not only does he do it, all my kids do it, and it's just like we're concentrating. When we really concentrate, that tongue just comes out to the side and it's always on the right side of the mouth. And it's just something we always done.
Well, when it showed the, I think I don't know if the last picture was the Rangers or the Mets. I don't. Well, there's one at the Rangers. You've been 23, number 23, a couple of times. I mean, if I had to guess and I didn't know anything, I'd say Michael Jordan.
That's correct.
Okay, and I wondered if you chose 23 because of Michael
Yeah,
Jordan.
basketball and Michael Jordan. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so you basically do a year in Texas, and you have a pretty good season at Texas, don't you?
Yeah, I had a pretty good season. Till the end, I was pitching basically every day. I think I ended up logging about 115 innings out of the bullpen that year, and I pitched very well. But then we were so bad as a team that the manager kind of called me and asked me to start, and I actually started about 4 or 5 games for him, and the first two went pretty good. The other two were not so good. But as a reliever, when you start and you have a bad game, your ERA starts to go up. But I love my time in Texas because I was able to go home and help Coach Patrick. He was, I think, he's playing coach pitch at the time, so
Yeah.
I was able to leave on Friday nights after the game. Drive the hour and a half, down to White House, pitching those games, and then take him back with me to the baseball field on Saturday. So it was a great time for me to be with the Rangers.
Well, and let's stay on this. I mean, this is obviously an autograph you gave me, but it shows kind of the mentality, the animated personality that you were for Texas there, right? That's kind of how you were. We saw it in the Mets photo, but you just got into it more than baseball pitchers did back then, right?
Well, I mean, I play with passion, and that's the thing about it. That's why I said that I finally got, after I came back from Japan, I finally got with some managers that let that, could let that passion show. And you see it now in the game now. That's how pretty much all the managers are. You see the bat flips, you see the guys doing their dances, doing that, putting the, helmets on in the dugouts and stuff like that. I was just way ahead of my time.
They didn't do all that back then. People don't realize that.
They didn't do all that back then, but, that was the only way I knew how to play. I played with a lot of passion. I was intense. I wanted to let you know that, I was trying to bury you and that I felt like I was superior and I was going to, do whatever I could to pull your heart out of you. And that's just the way I played the game. I mean, it was frowned upon back then, but, that's just the way I'd always played.
Well, and that leads me to, do you think it hurt you, I guess, getting on with other teams, extending your career in the big leagues, that type of things, because of the way that you played the game back then?
I don't think it hurt me. It hurt me in the Twins organization because I had an old school manager, and he was a guy that wasn't a high draft pick, played a lot of years in the minor leagues, went to the big leagues. I think he got 2, 3 at bats while he was in the big leagues, and then they sent him back down. So he always had a better appreciation for kids that had to struggle to get there, and then once they got there, he kind of was more in their favor. He didn't like the high round picks that he felt got there easier and breezed through, and So yeah, it kind of hurt me there. But as far as the other teams, most of the teams that I was on, even though I wasn't the best player on the team or nowhere near that, a lot of the guys did look up to me and kind of followed me as being their leader on a lot of those teams. So that was the reason I was able to stay and play as long as I did, because a lot of people, they would call me the glue. They would say, I was the one that made everything stick together, because yes, it was serious, but I let the humor side, come out too, and it was kind of a great mix. I never let it get too intense where everybody couldn't hang. I just wanted to make everything on an even keel.
Well, you were drafted in the 6th round in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many rounds.
Well, it was unlimited back then. I think Piazza got drafted in the 62nd round.
All right. And that's funny because, Patrick was drafted in the 37th round.
Yes.
And I just, I thought about that when I was getting ready for this interview, and I thought, the 6th round in baseball, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't think people have stopped and thought about that's a relatively early round in Major League Baseball in the draft, isn't it?
Yeah, Patrick's situation was a little different.
No, I know, but I'm just saying the
6th round was good. It was very good back then.
I mean, they know he's probably not coming. Maybe they just get the right to him.
Exactly. And the draft is a lot different now. But yeah, the 6th round was actually good. I was
155.
I was told that I was going to be drafted in probably the 3rd or 4th round. I was also told that I was going to be drafted as an outfielder, and then at the last moment, the Twins took me in the 6th round as a pitcher, which was the reason why I told my father when it happened that I wasn't going to sign.
Because you wanted to bat.
I wanted to bat. I'd hit 6'11". My junior year, I hit 582. My senior year, I hit 583 in American Legion Baseball. I'd always been a hitter, and I didn't really pitch.
You were just a good athlete.
Yeah, I didn't really pitch in high school, and the only reason I got on the mound, period, was because one of the guys that was a year older than me that had pitched ever since we were Little League up, and we all know those stories about those guys that
were great
pitched every game. Then by the time they got to be
noodle,
yeah, they had a noodle, and he called the coach out and told him, he said, "I'm done. I can't pitch anymore." And he's like, "Pat, can you pitch?" And I'm like, "Well, I've done it before, And I got up there, and of course the scouts were there watching me hit, and they had their radar guns, and I guess I was throwing like 90, 91. So then they started coming with their guns, and I ended up getting drafted as a pitcher.
Because, I graduated from high school in 1986.
Yes.
And, speeds were not as fast back then.
No.
Right? I mean, 1991 and 1988. Now, that's saying something, right? I mean.
Yeah, they had the old radar guns back then that rolled down, so we're not seeing those anymore.
But, I'm sure people listening are interested on, what the highest velocity fastball you've ever been clocked on in a major league game or in practice or any place.
Well, I mean, I had received an article back when I first went to AAA, and they said they had brought out a brand new radar gun called a Stalker, and which is what they use now. They used up until this new gun that they have now, but I have the highest recorded pitch on the Stalker, and I was throwing 100 in my AAA debut. The highest I ever seen me throw in the major league was 98. I threw that about 12 times against the Blue Jays in the Twins, but I was always, anywhere from there, 94 to 98 miles an hour.
I mean, and that was, there wasn't a lot of 100-mile-an-hour pitchers back then.
No, you had Nolan Ryan, you had J.R. Richards, maybe a Billy Wagner, guys like that could throw that. But now everybody throws 100 and 102 and 103. So it's just a different game now. I mean, I guess they say the athletes get bigger, stronger, and faster. But, back then, I feel like our 100 was a legit 100.
Well, you lived through, kind of a changing time frame, not only technology, the physicality of the players, but also the money in the game. right?
Oh, definitely. I was born way too early.
Right. I mean, you know,
I was born way too early.
it's
Yeah.
just 11 years from, say, 2000 to 2011 would have been a lot better from, 92 to 2000.
Oh, the money that they get these days is almost ridiculous. I mean, you got guys making 350, 400 million fully guaranteed. I remember when I came into the league, the major league minimum was $100,000, and I think the minimum right now is like $625,000. So the game has came a long way. Some of us were born too quick. But at least they're starting to catch up a little bit in some of the other sports. It's just not all guaranteed.
Well, when I think about money and I think about you and I think about the Texas Rangers, we can't help but think about Alex Rodriguez, right?
Oh yeah,
Texas,
he was the big one. The 252. That kind of opened the floodgates.
252 million.
252 million. Yeah, for 10 years. I remember that was the first year I got there. It was the first year he got there, and me and him actually became friends. And I remember looking at his check after 2 weeks, and he showed me his check, and his check was like 1.4 after taxes, and the taxes were over $1 million. And I'm like, oh, so that's happening every 2 weeks.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's
right?
crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. And I'm looking at my little check, and I'm like, oh, I'm on the same field with you, and my position is probably a little bit more important than yours, and they ain't making nowhere near that.
Because he was playing shortstop.
Yeah, he playing shortstop. I got to pitch the ball to get nothing happens. I let it go.
But we've seen photographs in the past of A-Rod, Patrick being in the locker room, because this was a time when the ball field from where Patrick was living was, not even 2 hours away, right?
Yeah.
Is this part of the locker room stories we've heard have been, as Texas Rangers for sure?
Yeah, I mean, hour and 45 minutes away. I would, go coach his games on Saturday mornings, take him back to the yard with me, and A-Rod would take him, man. I mean, he would take him down into the underground tunnel in the batting cages. He'd have the video camera set up, and Patrick would be hitting the balls. He'd toss balls to him. He'd hit them off the tee, and he would record these sessions. And they would sit up and go watch it on video, and he'd tell them the little things that he was doing. And it's something that Patrick has never, ever forgotten. And he also got to see how, the guys on the big league teams worked out and how hard they worked to be able to maintain and stay where they were in the big leagues.
And also, he saw you and probably, what a good player you were, but he also saw players that, when he was more aware, that stayed longer, made more money, and probably put all that together about what it takes to be the absolute best. You think he drew some of that he's applying right now out of that experience, even in the locker room around Texas?
Yeah, he was fortunate enough to see all those guys. He got to see the Jeters. He got to see the A-Rod, LaTroy Hawkins. I mean, who
Godfather.
Yeah. So he's played 1,042 games.
I mean, that's making a living.
Yeah,
playing baseball.
Exactly, and he's leaned upon him for advice and what it took for him to stay there and be there. And you hear people, talk about him, possibly being one of the best of all times. You can always hear him say that, that's going to depend on how long I can play. And he looks at a guy like Tom Brady who played all these years and Aaron Rodgers who's playing into their 40s and whatever. And so that's big with him on what they did to be able to maintain that long. And he uses their advice and tries to make himself that much better of a player.
Well, you mentioned LaTroy, Hawk, they call him.
Mm-hmm.
Godfather to Patrick,
mm-hmm.
played 20 years.
Yes.
And just, was a great teammate,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, he used diplomacy as well as the best of his ability to probably have as long a career as a man could have.
Oh, yeah, he maxed himself out. I mean, He did it the right way. Never had really just great numbers or nothing like that, eye-opening numbers or nothing, but he went about it the right way. You say great teammate, um, an ambassador for the game, a mentor for the younger players, a member of the, Players Association, a player rep, all that stuff. He did it the right way, and he grew up. He Patrick grew up around him because we were roommates. He was one of my roommates, with the twins and everything, and been around. He moved to Texas shortly after, so he's been around Patrick pretty much all his life, and he's been a guy that Patrick, feels comfortable with, going on and asking him questions and getting advice about, how to be a professional, how to go about your business.
Yeah, because I mean, Patrick would have, obviously your experience in watching you, and he'd also have LaTroy and anybody else to just see what happens to people and take that all in. Because Patrick seems to be a really good teammate, right? I mean,
well, he's always, I think, had that quality. He's, I look back and I hate keep bringing me and you up in it.
You wanted him to be meaner.
Yeah, I always thought he would be meaner. Well, I wanted him to be your son.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be your son.
Because my son was more like you.
Yeah, exactly. And we would always have those conversations on the bench, and you're like, "Hey, you got to get him out." I'm like, "No, no, I'll get him out in a minute. I see what's getting ready to happen." And so he's always had that quality where he wants the kid that's the worst on the team to have some fun,
Lester.
Score. Yeah.
You remember Lester?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember
never
Lester?
Scored a basket. Never scored a basket in his life. He was 6'5", 6'6". He never scored a basket, and he was determined the whole year we're going to get him a basket. But I was more into the warrior type, like Jake. I could tell Jake, hey, this game, don't worry about scoring. I want you to lock this guy up and make sure he don't score whatever. And he'd lock it up, and then I could go to the next game. I go, okay, you did what I need you to do. Now go on and, wet your beak, and he had 35 and a half. We seen it, So, he sometimes I always thought that maybe he wasn't tough enough.
What, right.
But being that I watched that quarterbacks Netflix series now, I heard some words and stuff that I'd never heard from before, so I kind of got a little smile on my face.
Well, it seems like some of that we saw on Netflix was you.
Oh, well, right. That's why I said. Well, he's kind of acting like his daddy.
Right. I mean, using the ultimate diplomacy, which he knows is on the field where nobody can hear.
Mm-hmm.
The part that the poor kid from Lindale, that had a hard time and had to find his own way and was scared and this, that, and the other, but just used raw emotion to get places. It seemed like that came out in Patrick in the times when he was really tested, being hurt, needing to win, right? And so I think you did have maybe a bigger influence on him in that way. He was meaner than you thought.
Yeah, definitely. I never seen that part of it, and watching that thing, it was kind of an eye opener for me. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. Now I see it, because like you said, he's always been, right. I mean, I don't know if that's the right word. He's always been right. Say the right
thing.
Say the right thing.
Do
take
the right
blame,
thing.
Give everybody else the praise, all that. But to see that side of him, I mean, it was great for me to see it. And I was like, okay, now I finally see it. And once people saw it, it's funny, how social media works. I got a lot of messages. People say, okay, now we know where it comes from. So, it was pretty crazy to see that. But I mean, I think you got a lot of that from your boy too.
Well, you mentioned social media. It's almost like, there's so many people now in society that have never played sports, right? Never competed, never knows what that can be like. That the people that do compete, like Patrick and others, they have to use and talk language that's foreign to those who have competed, been in a locker room, right? Otherwise, it seems like you're doing something wrong. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we didn't have that back then. We didn't have the social media and all that. I joke with Patrick all the time, and I tell him, I said, if they'd had social media, if they had Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that back when I was played, I probably would have played about 2 years. Some of the stuff that we were doing back then. So, yeah, they definitely have to adapt a different language and a different persona to be able to thrive in this society.
Because you have to wear two hats. You have to be extraordinarily, violent, if you will, and aggressive. But at the same time, you have to present yourself to the rest of the public who has no idea what it takes to be in that spot, as if you're just like them, right? When it's nothing like that on the field, in the trenches, when the mics aren't there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I sit there and I know that it's necessary, but I'm fortunate enough that I get to go to a lot of the games, and I get to experience a lot of the trips in the off season, and golf trips, and getting to hang out with the fellows and all that, and him having to have security around, and can't really live a normal life
That's over with.
Yeah, that part is over with. Every time we got to go eat, it's got to be reserved. It's got to be this, and you got to have this spot and spot there. And I think it's a good thing to be able to do that.
Right. I mean, there's that.
That's a good thing to be able to do that. But then on the other hand, I'm like, when I played and, we'd go play different teams, I get to experience the city, get to go out and see different things and not have to worry about, people messing with me and all that. But now with the cameras and social media and all that stuff, I think they're living in a really, really hard time right now, and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody.
What about the guys you played with? Tell me about some of the favorite major league players, teammates that you had over the years.
Probably my favorite would be Ricky Henderson.
And you played with him on what team?
I played with him in the Mets for 2 years, the 99 and 2000, but I actually grew up idolizing him, and then to get a chance to play with him was fun. I pitched against him in 92. I mean, my first at bat against him, I struck him out. I remember that was kind of like the highlight of my career. But Ricky would be up there. Kirby Puckett, of course. Late Kirby Puckett was one of my favorite, and Eric Davis.
With the Reds?
Yeah, with the Reds. Yeah, and we're actually doing some stuff together now, and I get to talk to him and hang out with him. He's actually went to a few games with me, to a few Chiefs games with me. So, those were kind of the guys that I kind of, looked up to in Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart. He was a pitcher for Oakland?
Oakland, yes, sir.
I mean, I didn't really play baseball. And so, I remember these people somehow.
There's some good guys right there, though.
And Ricky played for the
he played for Oakland and a lot of teams, Yankees. Yeah.
What'd you like about Ricky? Was Ricky kind of like Reggie Jackson in a way? Were they outgoing? Were they arrogant? Did they talk a lot of trash? I mean, what were they like?
Very flamboyant, showman.
Yeah.
Made the game look fun, and that's hard to do in baseball. It's hard to make that game look fun. They got all the new rules, trying to speed up the game. But back then it was a very boring game. But guys that can make it look fun and keep you interested and keep your eyes on the TV set, that play the game, hard and play it the right way, was just something that always caught my eye.
Do you think the rules that speed it up will make baseball maybe more attractive to ordinary people just watching games?
Well, I think it's going to help. I mean, to be honest, it's a boring game.
I mean,
to be honest,
it's slower.
Yeah,
than football, right? Football,
game,
basketball.
There's no slam dunks. There's no,
There's a home run every now and then.
Every now and then, there's no, touchdown, long pass. I mean, it's a game of strategy, and you have to play. So I can understand it. Those new rules, only one of the new rules that really rubbed me the wrong way is that you can only pick over a couple times, but as far as the pitch clock and all that stuff, that would never bother me because I was always a guy that was going to get the ball and get right back on the mound anyway and be ready to go to the next pitch.
Well, your baseball career, at least your major league career, it kind of winds down in 2009 in the majors.
No, 2004 in the majors, 2009 in professional baseball.
That's right. Yeah, 2009. You were around some of the minor league teams in that period of time.
Yeah, I actually played a couple of years of independent baseball and got picked up by minor league teams to go to AAA and supposedly go to the big leagues, but that's how I kind of finished up.
That was the goal, though. The goal had to be, I would think, would be to keep playing with the hopes that maybe somebody would bring you up to the major leagues when you were in the independent league.
Well, I had 12 seasons in the big leagues, and I had a little bit over 8.5 years of service time, which pension wise, to be fully vested in pension, you have to get to 10 years. So my pension was about 86% instead of the 100. So
even to this day,
to this day, and to get to the 100, you have to get to 10 years. So that was always a factor. If I get up, play independent ball, get a month here, a month there, up in the big leagues, that's going to add on to that pension. So when I got to the point where I was going to take it, then you would get that much more money. But once you get over, I think the rules have changed, but back then, you had to play at least 4 years to get pension. So, I was way past that status, but you always want to get the 100%.
And do you think it got harder the older you got with younger guys coming up, you being in the independent or the minor leagues to get back up? Did it get harder as the years rolled on?
Well, as technology, advanced and they moved more into analytics and stuff like that, it makes it hard for an older guy to get back to where he is. I mean, hell, my last game in the big leagues, I pitched five innings and give up a run on a spot start, which I had the day off, and started throwing up, and they told me I was starting the game, and manager asked me to give him 3 innings. I gave him five innings and then give up a run. I actually won the game 2-0. That was my last game in the big leagues.
And that was with Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, yes.
How is it that, with that contribution, you say, well, okay, how does the guy not get back, signed with them for next year or on another team with that, type of ability?
Yeah, that was crazy, and that brought out a lot of the old Pat. That brought the old Pat back because I'm like,
you're not getting what's fair.
Exactly.
Right.
And when the reporters and all the guys on the teams are coming up to you and going, what the hell is going on? And you guys say, well, they said, I can't pitch for the next couple of days, even though I just did them a solid when they told me I had the day off and come out and pitch 5 innings and get a win. And now I got to go down, which they said I was going down for 3 days. And
to the minor leagues.
Yeah. I'm going down AAA for 3 days.
Why would they send you down if you're on the roster as a pitcher throwing in a major league game?
Because they said they needed other arms. They said, because I had pitched 2 innings 2 days before, 2 innings the day before. They told me I had the day off the next day. And then when I got to the field, the guy was throwing up, and they go, okay, we need you to start. And so I go put my spikes on and go start. So they know for a fact that I'm not going to pitch for 2 or 3 days, because I tapped out. I'm through 9 innings.
They can replace you with a fresh arm?
Fresh arm. Bring that guy up and let him come up and be available to pitch. And then 3 days later, they can call me back up. But except that 3 days went by and he didn't call me back up. So,
do you think it had anything to do with the way that you said goodbye as you went down?
It may have. It wasn't that pleasant because I did ask her, well, are you kidding me? Really? This is what we're doing.
Do you lose money going down for 3 days?
Well, at this point in my career, No, I mean, there's no more split contracts, So I was making big league money. I was just in Nashville, which was a big league city, but it wasn't a big league city. It was a triple A team, but I was down in Nashville making the same money I would have been making in Pittsburgh, but it
for
just,
the rest of the baseball season.
yes.
And then after that, they don't pick you up.
No,
And,
I actually, after that was over, I actually signed with the Expos. I think it was the last year the Montreal Expos were there. Went to spring training with them and pitched my ass off there. But I didn't make the team. They sent me to Triple A for whatever reason, and I had an out in my contract that if I wasn't in the big leagues by June 1st, that I could go to any team I wanted to. And pitched my ass off. I was 4-0, had 8 saves, um, did everything I was supposed to do. And my agent called and said, if he's not in the big leagues tomorrow, we're going somewhere else. And
but did you really have anywhere else to go?
well, actually, 3 teams actually reached out. So I had the Red Sox, the Cardinals, and the Marlins. And I chose the Marlins. And the funny thing about it, the Red Sox and the Cardinals played in the World Series that year. So I didn't make the right choice.
Now, okay, so this is 2003, which is the last year you ever play a game in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
You never get back. Do you say it had anything to do with your ability, or do you say it had to do with the way you just approach things in general?
Well, I think at that point I was, 33 years old, and the game was kind of shifting. They were going more to the younger guys and the analytical stuff and stuff like that. So I may have burned a few bridges, along the lines, and realistically, I should have been in the big leagues 2004. Should have been in the big leagues 2005. I could say for sure in 2006. I put up numbers that were big league worthy, and I should have been, in the big leagues. But once that didn't happen, I just kind of, wanted to go back home and be dad because, I was doing it part time. Yeah, Randy was taking care of the kids, during the school years and all that. Kids would come up during the summer, get to spend time with me, and I just kind of realized a lot of how much I was missing out on, and I just wanted to, to get back home and be dad and get to go to all the games instead of going to the ones because when I was going to be in town, I was going to make every one, but there was a lot of stuff I was still missing, and I was getting, updates and reports from coaches like you and everybody else that coached, the kids, as they were going up. So that was a point where I needed to come back and, like you said, try to tell the kids exactly what they were going to be going through, what to expect, as they moved up and moved up.
So you kicked it around, really on a kind of a part-time basis, up and down in the minors till 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you said, I'm not doing it anymore. And you're out of baseball. You're back in Tyler, right? You're really here 24/7, 365 days a year in Tyler, right?
For the most part,
unless you had something else going on.
Exactly.
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part. And that was at the point where the boys were getting ready to start high school, and
it was almost there. That was 2010.
Yeah, as I said, it was at that point where they were almost ready to start high school. We had our little magical run with the baseball team and everything, and
we went to the World Series.
We went to the World Series, exactly. Won the American side championship and played Chinese Taipei, and just kind of ran out of pitching there at the end. But I mean, it was at that point where they were getting ready to go, and I came back and I was fortunate enough to get to, coach them in various sports in high school, for White House. I coached the flag football team. We coached flag football team. We coached the basketball team. We, did stuff with them in the summer for baseball and stuff like that. So that was a pretty good time, knowing that, that they had a chance to go to college and do all that great stuff. And that's kind of what we did.
All right. So we're out of the league, and what would you say your greatest regret was as a major league player? Was it not being there for the 04, 05, and 06 season, or was it something else in baseball?
My greatest regret probably would be the way that I handled myself the first couple years of my big league career. I think that if I'd have been more receptive to the information that I was given, then things could have been a lot different for me. I got pretty pissed off when I got sent down the first time, when I felt like that it was unwarranted.
Right. I mean, you were young. You took it as a slight. You didn't understand the business completely at the time.
Well, I had never experienced anything like it.
You didn't have a dad telling you, "Hey, this is what's actually going on."
Well, it wasn't so much that. It really was. I was 3-1. I was 3-1. I was second on the team in wins. I was leading the team in strikeouts.
You said it earlier.
Yeah.
You were arrogant.
Yeah. And they sent me down, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, really? I mean, instead of just being, okay, I made it to the big leagues, I'm going to be all right. Just you go down and put in your work and come back. It was like the mouth got me in more trouble than it should have.
But this is the point I wanted to draw out, because I know you've shared these stories with Patrick, right?
Yes.
I mean, he has the benefit of all of this before he ever gets to the professional football league. That is what happened to my dad in his professional league life. And I know it has to make you feel good on one hand, right? To have, and he was naturally inclined to be that way anyway. I mean, we can't kid ourselves, right? I mean, Patrick was never the mouth.
No. He was always the quiet.
He was never going to be all mad and act like he got done wrong. He just wouldn't say anything, and then the next chance he got, he would show you why you were totally wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, you talk about 2009 being my last year, and then when I come back, and that was one of the main reasons was I was going to make sure that he didn't make the same mistakes that I did, even though I never ever thought that would be a problem with him, because as we all know, he wasn't the guy. He wasn't going to mouth. He wasn't going to be arrogant. He's going to, he's a team guy. Hell, he could go out and play a basketball game. He could have hit 20 points, but he'd hit 12 and everybody else would have 12, and that's just the way that he went about his business. And I just want to make sure that he knew that, yeah, it's all right to be good, but, it's a certain way you handle yourself. And when I look at the interviews and I look at the different stuff that he does, that's probably the thing that I'm the most proud of.
Right, because he is a polished politician with specialized knowledge of the game and humility all wrapped up into one big ball. I mean, you can see it, right? As a father.
I can see it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And people say, well, he's this, he's that, and, he could be the greatest and he could do that. I'm like, I don't even worry about that. I mean, what that
maybe he will be.
Maybe he will be. Maybe he don't. He still got work to do. But the thing that I do know is that when he steps up on that podium, he does it the right way, and that's the thing that I'm most proud of.
Well, and he also, is smart. He's very aware. You knock yourself out of endorsement deals if you don't do things the right way, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's a source of income that really wasn't available to athletes when you played, not near as much, was it?
No. I mean, like I said, it's a whole different world, and I was born way too quick. But Patrick has a great support system. I mean,
Chris,
I mean,
the agents,
not even as much as that. He has me,
well, yeah,
Trisha. He has his mom. He has Chad. He has Jake. All his buddies, and
he's grounded.
Yeah, he's very grounded, and most important, he has his wife Brittany. Who's, she could be painted in a bad light sometimes, but like he said in the series, he wouldn't be who he was without her. So, she's a person that keeps him grounded too, and
takes care of a lot of things.
and is supportive, and he knows she's in their corner. Now he's got 2 kids, and he's figuring out how to be a good dad and all that, and it's all from watching stuff that he see growing up, and he's doing it the right way. So when you do stuff the right way, good things come your way.
Well, we all want our dads to be proud of us, right? And I'm sure Patrick is no different. And it sounds like you're clearly proud of the way he's conducting himself. As now, he's got a birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, and he'll be 28, right?
Yep, 28.
We talked about this doing things the right way, and how he seems to have either been the right personality, or at least captured some of it from you to know what to do, right? I mean, I'm not sure, even if nobody ever told him what to do, knowing him the way, he'd probably still be the same way, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a lot of input. Just kind of, he's kind of always been a sponge, and
let's you and I take credit. We worked with him.
Yeah.
We worked with him. I talked to him about how to present himself, make arguments.
Yeah, but he's always been a sponge. He kind of watches, he kind of learns, and he figures out how to get around. And he's been around a lot of great people.
Well, he just has an attention to detail that I think people might miss a little bit. It's just like his interaction with defensive linemen in the league. If anybody knows anything about professional sports, then they understand exactly what he's up to, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the last last thing you do is trash talk.
If somebody try to tackle you.
Or if you make a score, go over there to them and put it in their phone. Right? I mean, and I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I can't remember who was on it, but I know Brandon, he used to be on the NFL Today.
Yeah.
The football player.
Brandon Marshall.
Marshall, and a couple other guys. And the guys used to talk about Tom Brady, how he would never speak to the offensive players on the other team. He would ignore them, but he would always, hey, great rush.
Yeah, great rush. Yeah, great rush. Good rush.
But, the other thing I wanted to talk to before we move to, how proud you are with Patrick and what he's done is people always ask you, kind of like, you almost talked him out of playing football, and he's the greatest player or could be ever. But I never saw it that way. And tell me if I'm wrong. I saw it. You had seen something that is the life in the major leagues, right? What it could be like to be Kirby Puckett, right? What it could be like to be A-Rod. Mm-hmm. What it could be like even to be LaTroy Hawkins, not to take anything away from LaTroy, right? Mm-hmm. You knew what kind of athlete Patrick was. Good enough to play. And probably thought, this is the sure thing. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. I knew at a very young age that he had a chance to be a professional baseball player. I thought he could be a professional baseball player. And as he progressed, the years, playing, I knew that
he was getting better and better.
Well, I mean, I had been there, I'd seen it. I'd seen other baseball players and I saw what qualities they had, and I'm like, he has those qualities that he could be a baseball player. And let's just be real. I mean, there's not a lot of risk in baseball. Not a lot of risk for
I mean, you could
injury and
twist an
all that.
ankle.
You twist an ankle, something like that. You might throw your arm out or something like that, but that can be fixed. But as the average football life, I think it's about 4 years. And when he fell in love with football his junior year and things started trending that way, yes, as a parent, I was concerned. I didn't know how good he was at it. I didn't know if he was good enough to be an NFL player.
But you knew.
But I knew he could play baseball.
Eventually, and be in the league for a long time.
Exactly.
And the money was much better.
Way better, and guaranteed.
And his family life would be so far from what you grew up in Lindale, Texas. This is what I always felt like. I never felt like you were trying to down football or keep him away.
No.
I'm like, hey, my son can be a millionaire, or he can potentially risk and not be
nothing.
I mean, and so what father, and me included, wouldn't say, hey, I think we need to take a real hard look at this baseball. If you don't like to pitch, fine. You always said this. You can play right field and bat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, he had a lot of avenues, and I remember sitting there. I was actually at his mother's house, and we were sitting there with the draft and waiting on his name to be called, and we got a call in between the first and the second round, and it was the guy called, and he answered the phone, and he goes, the guy goes, hey, this is so-and-so with the Arizona Diamondbacks. We got $1.6 million. Will that get it done? And he said, no, sir, and thank you, and hung up the phone, got up, walked to the front door, went out and got in his truck and started driving to Lubbock. And me and his mom was sitting there, and I'm like, man, what just happened?
Was he at Texas Tech at the time?
No, he was getting ready to go. This is senior year, went out of high school.
Oh, he was about ready to go to
Tech. Got ready to go to Tech.
For his freshman year.
For his freshman year. And I was sitting there, I was like, and so I got on my phone, and I called him, I'm like, Patrick.
Hey, that's quite a lump sum.
I'm like, Patrick, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I said, you know that when you graduate, you probably ain't gonna make 1.6. And he's like, no, Dad. He said, I just want to try this football thing out. And I'm like, all right, well, turn around and come on back. I'll take you to Lubbock and help you get in and all that. Get your stuff in and all that. And I remember that being the longest 7-hour drive I ever made in my life. Sitting there, I'm looking at him and kind of like in disgust, kind of like, really,
right?
We're gonna go play football, something you just been doing for a year and 3 quarters, and you just turned down $1.6 million. And
this was for a 37th round.
No, he would have been drafted in between the first and the second round.
Oh, okay.
But then the guy from the Tigers who were on him the whole time, they knew he wasn't going to sign, and they called me and they said, they said, hey, we just want to let you know we're going to draft Patrick, and we're going to draft Patrick with our next pick. We know he's not going to sign, but he was such a great young man and so polite to us and everything that we're just going to draft him so he will be able to say that he got drafted.
Yeah.
And that's how that went down.
But, I mean, Michael Kopech was kind of a guy we played against.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's first round.
And they knew, and so that's a good example, I think. Because I remember us going to Mount Pleasant, right? Kopech was kind of the stud.
Yeah.
And everybody knew Kopech didn't play football. He was going to play baseball.
Exactly.
His dad was all into it like you were. And he went first round, right? Yeah. And I know this is what you were thinking back then.
Oh, yeah.
So if people have a little more context of, you not just being the guy trying to keep him from his football dreams.
No, I just knew that, like you said, I just knew he could be a pro baseball
And what did
player.
Kopech sign for in the first round?
I think he got like 1.9 or something like that.
Yeah, and then obviously he's
in the big leagues now.
He's got a bigger contract now.
Yeah, he's in the big leagues and everything.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think people don't quite get what you were saying about that.
I never tried to keep him away from playing football. I just, as a dad, you just want your child to be the most secure and safe as you can make it.
I mean, he could throw it fast enough, right? He could throw it far enough. He could throw it accurate enough, and he could hit. So I mean, he was a human being, one of the few that you knew from what you'd seen. He would make it in pro baseball no matter what.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, now I know he did get one dunk against, but I'm not sure. He loved basketball just like you did.
Oh, yeah.
And he had all the moves, and I see every one of them in the Chiefs games. Don't you? I mean, golly.
Yeah. All the sports tie in together with him.
How about the pass the other day where he jumped out of bounds and threw it?
Yeah.
Hey, he's retrieving a ball and kicking it back in the court, right? That's the same play.
Exactly,
same play. But, yeah, I mean, well, okay, so you mentioned, the draft a little bit, but I mean, everybody's heard all those stories, and I don't really care so much about that because everybody knows, and he learns Kansas City is going to take him. He thought the Bears was going to take him, but it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
True to form, he really likes his buddies and family. It seems like, I mean, it's weird how, I guess not weird, but he keeps them around even to this day. And these guys, many of which I think we've got a draft picture because, look, there you are on the right?
Mm-hmm.
People make certain assumptions about us in East Texas, I think, right? I mean, one of your best friends is a white guy named Mark Nick.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and that's been true since Lindale.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
way back since my freshman year.
Right. I mean, and you talk about Bubba, and all these people and then there's Lee Steinberg, of course, Randy, Mia, Jake, and then Chris on the left. I mean, that was at Pino Del Lago.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, everybody was all excited, and he was excited and on his way. And I think that's the first time I'd seen you in a suit since you got back.
Yeah, I didn't wear too many of them back then.
But you looked good, and I noticed that you got the matching outfit when you went to Kansas City the next day, right? I mean,
oh, yeah.
What's the next picture? I think this is the next day. Now, before we get there, though, I brought up this picture because, I thought the emotion there. I mean, look, you're not a guy who's always crying.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying? From what I've seen, and you're not mean. You're more fun and nice than people realize. But in that picture, it's like, the worry that you had that he made the wrong decision. How's this going to turn out? Is he going to blow it? Is he going to, live like we did before you went anywhere in Lindale? All of this I see is in you. Am I right? Or are you crying about something else?
No, I'm crying because, that kid, that started playing sports when he was 4 years old and grinded his way to get to that point. And I'll be the first to admit I thought he made a bad decision when he decided to play football, which, makes me look like an ass now. But
I don't think it does.
For him to get to that point and realize his dream, it just all hit home that he was going to have a chance. Now, I always thought that once he got there, that he was going to have success. Never in a million years did I think that it would happen, so quickly. How it all kind of sprung us on, first year, going 50 and 5,000 and winning the MVP his first year starting.
Right. I mean,
nobody could see that coming. If they did, they did tell you that they're lying. But I just knew that he had a chance to be successful and to be and the fact that I knew that he was top 10 pick, so he's gonna get some money to put in his pocket, so he's gonna be able to live a lot better than I did.
Right. I mean, you almost know in this instance that he's probably financially secure the rest of his life.
Yeah, but great, he should be.
He should be.
He should be.
on the stats, it's like we talked about the money changed. Your entire career in the majors, like you made just shy of $3 million, I think, from the stats.
Probably right.
The signing bonus was $10 million.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. And with the possibility of getting up to like 21.5 or something like that.
And then we think about the contract that he has signed.
Oh, yeah.
So, with endorsements, of course, we're approaching $500 million. And his next contract, he will be probably less than 30, an extension or something that's probably in the works.
Mm-hmm.
And if we treat him and the game's rules treat him like Brady and Rodgers, Patrick, the way he is, could easily play into his 40s.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he can make a couple $1 billion.
I mean, isn't that just almost blows your mind?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it, but yeah, he could easily make, a couple $1 billion, but and there's not one person in East Texas or anywhere that thought that would happen. But, that's just, it's just joy on my face, knowing that, he has a chance to reach his goals, his dreams.
I mean, he can do anything at this point.
He could do whatever he wanted. I remember when he called me and told me he was signing the contract that he signed, and said I was actually in McKinney at a baseball tournament and coaching my kids, and he called me and said, "Dad, you got a moment?" I said, "Yeah, we're getting ready to play here in about 30 minutes, but yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "Well, I think I'm going to sign." And I said, "Okay, well, what did they offer?" And he told me what they offered or whatever. I said, "Well, what are you waiting on?" And he goes, "Well, the NFL wants me to try to get a fully guaranteed contract." I said, "Son, you need to get in there. If you got to cut your wrist, you put an X on it and
find a pen.
Yeah, get that thing signed. Don't worry about the NFL."
Yeah,
and
the NFL not gonna take care of you if you get hurt.
No. But it's funny, and we talk about the changing times and all that. But I told him when we actually went to the signing in Kansas City and we were at Andy Reid's house and he signed his contract, I said, "Do you know what they would be telling me right now?" He goes, "What? What's that?" I said, "They'd have told me," they said, "Son, you be dead in a year." I said, "You give me $500 million, I wouldn't have made it a year."
Pat, looking at this photograph, obviously Randy's in that photograph, and you guys are holding hands, and you guys are celebrating, and you guys really did, remain pretty close and good friends, don't you think, since y'all were divorced?
Yeah, I mean, we both, love and adore our kids that we had together, and we have a special relationship. I mean, she doesn't get as much credit as she should. I mean, when I was off playing baseball, she was the one that held the fort down and made sure everything was good. I got to see the boys in the summertime, but all the other maintenance and the grunt work she did, with the help of other people here in White House, they took care of a lot of sports stuff, but she took care of all the other things, and we've always maintained a great relationship, and we still consider ourselves a team.
Well, that's certainly what I noticed, and I agree with you. It does not appear from the outside that Randy gets the credit that she deserves for raising both, Patrick and Jackson, in a lot of instances by herself at different times. You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. I mean, it's hard being the wife of a professional athlete, and she did a great job of doing the most that she could. Some of it, seems, when your son gets up to a high pedestal or pinnacle or like that, people are going to try to shoot you down and stuff. But yeah, she definitely has a big role. Everybody sees Pat Mahomes Sr., the baseball player that played in the big leagues, and they just assume that everything came from me. But she was a very intricate part in his life and how he goes about his business, how he's humble and and treat people the right way. You know, a lot of stuff that she instilled in him and that he still uses to this day.
Well, Miss me having the benefit of knowing you both, I mean, um, obviously, you're more like me in the sense that we're less disciplined. That's probably a fair statement, wouldn't you say?
True.
So I'd say that, Patrick's discipline probably comes from Randy.
I would agree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about, and I'm not saying Randy's not smart, but I'm saying that your memory, your past, your football IQ, baseball IQ. I mean, it looks like, y'all helped make Patrick over the years, but being a professional athlete, I think the media gets more interested in you, right? In like, how did this guy, Patrick Mahomes, end up being this most famous, looking to be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever? And they look straight to the professional athlete, don't they?
Oh yeah, they say it's genes and DNA and all that, but there's a lot of different factors. Like I said, it takes a village, to raise a kid, and his mother was definitely instrumental in a lot of the stuff that he has. I mean, she
Helped with homework.
She helped with homework.
Cooked.
It cooked, cleaned, got him to here and there, got him to the games, and everything, and made sure that he stayed in line, that he wasn't sneaking out, and he wasn't doing all.
She
these
was a
different
strong
things.
disciplinarian.
Yeah, she definitely disciplined him and made sure that he stayed on the right path, and I'll forever be grateful for what she did when I wasn't there.
And, one of the things that people don't realize about Randy is that because of her work schedule, she wasn't off work until Mondays, working for the club.
Correct.
And so every baseball tournament we ever went to, every basketball tournament we ever went to on Saturday and Sunday, she had to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
And so, I think she made a big sacrifice in a way, and I can understand sometimes when she gets frustrated, like she didn't have the contribution she did, because I think she had a large one into him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that people, they get it, they see the name, they see that I played and everything, and they're gonna instantly go to that as the reason why.
Like,
but
hey, he was a major leaguer, so he automatically would make the pros.
Exactly. But what they don't understand is that how taxing it is, 162 games, and you're talking about 180 days for a year of baseball. So that means I'm gone 180 days out of 365. So who's taking care of home when I'm gone? I only got to play the 1 year in Texas, and even that I wasn't there every day. So she's the one that kept everything going. Did everything for the house, did everything for Jackson, did everything for Patrick, and stuff like that. And I've always gave her credit for that. And even when people say what they ever say, I tell them don't get it twisted. She had a big part of everything that's going on here, and that's why I just kind of lay in the back, and I let her and Patrick and everybody, I'll let them all get their shine on, get their glory, because it's their time. It's their time. I already had mine, so now y'all have fun.
No, this is your time right now on the show, Pat.
Where's your time? Or my time, as y'all say.
I can't help but draw parallels and corollaries. As my second job as a lawyer, right? Mm-hmm. I think about Patrick, first person to ever have a 10-year contract in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Nobody's ever made that kind of commitment to a player in the history of the NFL, have they?
No.
People say, the owner, Andy Reid, Patrick's discipline, his humbleness, the kind of person he is probably the reason that they gave him a contract that long. Would you agree? I mean, they were so sure he was not a guy that was going to make mistakes or not be what they thought he was later.
Well, I just think that they knew that he was a guy that was going to come in the building and work hard every day, that wasn't going to get complacent. That if you gave him a contract like that, which basically is a lifetime contract.
Right. I mean,
If
you're married to
yeah,
him for
exactly.
long time.
It's back because it wasn't even 10 years. You know, he already had 2 years left on his contract, and then there's an extra 10 more years extension. So,
That's right.
you know, he's going to be there for a long time, but he's not going to get complacent and stop, you know, coming in the building, working every day. They knew that he was putting up roots, you know, wanted to buy a house, wanted to be uh, um, a pillar there in the
And he
community.
did all of that, right?
Exactly. Wanted
But
to.
the way he was, though, as a person, don't you think that had a big part in, you know, the Chiefs organization being willing, even with all those other things, putting down roots, you know, working hard to really invest in him for that longer period of time?
Oh, I definitely believe that was a big factor. You know, they saw the way he went about his business, and and that he came to the field every day. You know, trying to get better and wanting to do whatever it take, and then plus, you know, it was a team friendly contract. You know, even though it's 10 years, but it was
Right.
team
I mean, there's
friendly where
always a
they
lot
can
of
make
back
some
doors.
maneuvers and do different things and people, you know, now, you know, they're starting to talk about, well, you know, he's this paid player, but there's a factor that comes along with wanting to win and wanting to be you know, a champion, and he knows that he can't do it by himself because a la his days
Right.
at Texas Tech and stuff like that.
Tom
You
Brady
know, he's
taught
got
him the lesson.
exactly. You got to have people around you to be able to continue to do the stuff that you want to strive to do, and that's what I think came together with that, and they have a beautiful marriage there. I mean, they got a great owner, a great head coach. You know, Brett Beach was a guy that was a scout before Patrick got there. That's now the general manager.
I mean, he does
That
have the perfect
yeah,
situation.
exactly. He's got the perfect situation. He landed in a good spot, and the story may be different if he gets drafted by a different team, but you know, he ended up with the perfect situation with a guy that could mentor him and make him better, and he just took it, taken it, and ran with it.
Well, you know, what I like to believe, knowing him as well as I know him,
Mm-hmm.
is that he saw you in your baseball life, and he took advantage even of a great situation and made it even better. Do you think that's true about what he's done?
Exactly. You know, and he knows um, some of the struggles and stuff that I went through because he was able to live a lot of it, you know, later on in life. And he saw the grimy days when I went to, you know, the minor leagues and the independent days. And
Because that's not glamorous at all.
oh, not glamorous at all. You know, you're thinking, you know, he's playing pro ball, but yeah, you know, that's a whole different situation. And he got to see it, and he got to see it firsthand. And, um, and I think that shaped him to the point that, you know, he knew that if he was going to be in this and he's going to be in the long haul, that certain things he had to do different. And that's what I think he's always done.
Well, you know, I look at him and I think that he is the combination of the best traits from you and from Randy, and what that produced appears to be one of the most unique individuals on the planet. And it's not me saying it. I mean, I think it's the rest of the world saying it. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I mean, he know, like I said, he's a sponge.
I mean,
You know, he watches. I mean, he absorbs, and with that memory and seeing the different things. I mean,
and athletic ability
athletic
and
ability,
personality. I
personality,
mean,
knowing how to work the room, knowing, you know,
the
how to be
nuances of
shown
living.
exactly, and he mixes it all well. He knows when to pull it out, when not to pull it out. He takes the blame, and the great thing about it is when he started going to the field, I was in New York, and that's the biggest media capital of the world. And then once you hear the interviews and you get to see guys talk and how they go about their business, I bought him a desk when he was in 7th grade to put in my house, and I would interview him after games.
Just to practice.
Yeah, just to practice. I sit there and I would.
Well, Pat, what do you think about the game today?
I tell them, hey, we get home, and at that age, the boys are kind of scared to take showers with the other boys and all that stuff, So I would drive him home, he's smelling like death after a game, and I tell him to go in there and take a shower and and put a towel on and some shower shoes, come home, and I sit at that microphone at the desk and I'd interview him about the game, different situations in the game, and just try to teach him how to speak and exactly like that. And he took all that. Like I said, he's a sponge. He absorbs it all, and hey, he's just done a great job.
But I mean, in life now, there's kind of a like we said, the nuances of being successful, right? I mean, you said it earlier, saying all the right things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of seems like Patrick really means them, though, doesn't it? I mean, or he's going to win an Academy Award, or he should go into acting after this.
He puts on a great face. That's all I can say. He puts on a great face.
Okay. So, all right. So we'll take that to mean that at times there's a lack of blocking or a receiver or something that he probably doesn't express exactly what he thinks.
Exactly. He knows what to say, when to say. He's not going to blame anybody else now and then. What he does in that huddle or
in the
on
locker
that
room,
sideline or in the locker room, it may be a different thing. But when he's out there with the light bulbs on and the cameras flashing in his face, he's gonna give you a good answer.
Because I mean, the locker room's important for a professional athlete, especially the leader of a team like the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's making the most money. His criticism could cost a guy a job or some money, and people don't think about that either, do they?
Yeah, no, they don't. And it goes back to question number one when he told me that he was thinking about coming out, and I said, are you ready to lead grown men? And he goes, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, let's take, for instance, you're playing for the Cowboys, and Dez Bryant comes in the huddle and he goes, hey,
throw me the ball, man.
Hey, I got a wife and family to feed. I need the ball. You need to give me the ball. What are you going to say? And he said, well, I tell him that he get his ass open, I'll get him the ball. I said, okay, well, then you're ready, but that's part of being a leader of men, and until you walk into that clubhouse or locker room or whatever and see all those guys just looking for somebody to lead them, it's a whole different world.
They know it's not going to be them,
exactly.
Right? The offensive tackle, he's going to be a big part of but he's not going to be the guy.
He's not going to be the guy that galvanizes the team,
right?
To galvanize the team, and that's the thing that he took on so quick that he was able to do. Because I remember, when he first got there, the first year when he didn't play, and I went through 3 years of watching video with him at Texas Tech and talking about the plays and telling him what I saw and helping him out, study film and stuff like that. And I remember when he got to KC and he FaceTimed me with these, with the plays and all this different stuff, and I'm looking at it and I'm looking at all these words and shit, and I'm like,
I'm not going to be able to help you,
baby,
son.
I'm not going to be able to help you. I say, you're on your own. I say, yeah, I'm not good enough to help you with this. 18-word play calls and all that. But he picked it up quick. I mean, I remember him FaceTime me, practicing in the mirrors, at the house, calling out plays, trying to make sure you get it right.
Yeah, I mean, they're so long.
Exactly. And plus the voice doesn't make it any easier. So, it is what it is.
Well, you got to feel a special place in your heart, maybe, for Cliff Kingsbury, at least from the perspective of he went after Patrick out of high school, and not a whole lot of other guys did for a variety of reasons.
Well, Cliff's my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be the first to say we have the same birthday.
Okay.
But no, he's my guy, though. I mean, I talk to Cliff all the time. Good, bad. I mean, me and Cliff, we talk. And
I mean, I think he deserves a whole lot of credit
oh my
that he's
God!
not.
I mean, he took him to another level. I mean,
Texas Tech had the worst defense.
Patrick was the definition of an unpolished diamond when he went there. You know,
How about a project?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I think he even opened eyes, 'cause I think Patrick had in his mind when he went to college that he was going to go play college football for 2 or 3 years, and then he was going to switch back over and play baseball.
Because he started out at Texas Tech playing both.
Yeah, both.
And he was wild pitching.
And I honestly think he thought he was going to play 3-4 years of football, and then, okay, I'm going to go back and go play baseball because I know I can play in the big leagues.
He's smart. He was hedging his bets.
Exactly. And then Cliff, after his sophomore year, Cliff told him, hey,
you got to get all in on this.
You got a chance here. You know, you can make the NFL. You got a chance to get drafted. And then it finally clicked, hit home, turned the studying up, turned everything up, learning the rotation, learn how to play, and made it. But, I mean, I talked to Cliff, like I said, I talk to him every couple months. I'm glad he's at USC and whatever. Feel like he got a kind of a raw deal in Arizona, but, you know, it is.
I mean, that's,
you know, what it is.
That's business, right?
Well, it is.
But he got paid good to go in and go out of there, right?
Yeah, he's not hurting at all.
But, I mean, I just think Cliff was a visionary. I mean, do you remember, I thought this is the funniest story. You and we took Jake and Patrick to Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
I remember. I remember.
It was junior day at LSU.
About 1,000 people there.
Right. And, I mean, of course, Jake was so excited he got invited, and Patrick got invited. But the strangest thing was when we got there, nobody knew who Patrick was. Not a soul.
Nobody knew anything.
Right? They
they had the biggest shit show I ever seen.
How long's your mom's wingspan? They asked Patrick that.
Exactly. I'm like, I mean, and I remember you sitting there going, y'all don't know who Patrick Mahomes is? He's like, no, he. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, it was crazy.
And the bad thing for LSU, I think, is this. Patrick was going to play baseball, and they had a great baseball.
Baseball.
Right. Remember how good the LSU baseball is?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he'd have got offered by LSU, I think he would have been like blowing up the SEC instead of playing in the Big 12.
Yep. Well, as you remember, his sophomore year, they played LSU in the bowl game.
That's right, down in Houston. Yeah, I know.
They play him down in Houston, yeah.
Yeah, and he did a great job.
He did a great job.
I mean, because he was running for his life.
Yeah, but Fournette tore their ass up, but it was a hell of a game.
No, that was a good game. And that just solidified, Patrick as being a big-time player, because that was a big game, and he didn't have near the help.
No, it was crazy. I remember Fournette, he was treating them like little young boys, but Patrick threw about 3 or 4 touchdowns that game.
But Patrick always had the ability to adapt. Like, he could get there, figure out what the lay of the land was, and then figure out how to do it and just do it somehow. That was always true, right? In high school, in college, and then in the pros.
Oh, I mean, he's always he cases the room. He knows what's going on. He knows how to do it. I mean, yeah, I laugh about it and I think about it. I remember when we was doing the basketball thing, and we were in Mahia, and him and his kid were going back and forth, and I remember the kid just blatantly just elbowed him and hit him dead square in the jaw and just ran over him. And Patrick, he got the charge call or whatever, and the guy was like trying to hurt him. And he gets up and he's clapping in the guy's face and whatever. He just always understood the situation, and
emotion never
got to him. That was crazy, because that happens to me or you, we're coming up and, the benches are clearing. Ain't no time out. The benches are clearing and we getting ready to do it.
There's a technical foul.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're ejected from the game. Yeah, I don't know about me. I probably would have been calmer.
No, you ain't going to be calmer.
But, that's funny because I remember, my son, I mean, there was always a 15-yarder, right?
Your son has always been my favorite. I don't
Patrick
care.
never had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Your son has always been my favorite. I said, that one thing I always told you, I take 15 of them. I said, I don't care where we go. I know if I got him, we good.
Well, you and I have a couple things in common. Not professional sports. We had two sons the same age. That the first time I ever saw you, and I still remember this, it was at the YMCA. And Jake and Patrick were on opposite teams, and they were, I think, 7 and 8 or 8 and 9 down there on the little 8-foot goals. Remember that? And it was like, hey, that's Pat Mahomes over there. He's in the major leagues. And of course, I was a little bit older than you, so I didn't know you from high school.
Couple years.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it was after that, that we kind of ran into each other at the ballpark. And of course, Jake said, hey, we want to get on their team with Patrick, but that's kind of where it all started. I did a podcast with my son, Jake.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah.
And he and I talked about, I got divorced from his mother like you did. And I, I said, well, look, at least I hope that from whatever mistakes I made or it's set the foundation for you to have a more conventional life, if you will, and happier in the end, right? And he said, yeah, he thought it would, blah, blah, blah. I look at Patrick and I see how fluid his life has been, right? I mean, nobody's been around him in the younger years more than me.
I know that.
Never seen him drunk.
Nope.
Okay. Never seen him angry.
Nope.
Competitive, yes, but just, constant and consistent in a way that you and I were, not even in the same league, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Different than we can say.
How much of that is him? How much of that is looking at you and Randy, like Jake looked at me and Angie and says, I don't want that. He felt what he felt, him and Jackson. My kids felt what they felt. Look at Patrick, Brittany, Sterling, and Bronze. It just seems like a consistent, fluid relationship that's not going to end to me.
Well, I really feel, honestly, and as I look back on it, Patrick was 11 years old, I think, when we got divorced. And I actually remember him saying to me, he never was mad at me about it.
But he never expressed his anger.
No, he was never mad at me about it.
Jake was mad at me. He said he was on the podcast.
Well, he was different. He was different afterwards. And I could sense it and I can tell it and everything. And but he would never say anything because he always looked up to me as his hero.
He was respectful.
Exactly. He always looked at me as a hero. But I overheard him one day talking to his mother, and he said that he would never, ever get divorced from his wife. And so I kind of knew that it affected him in some kind of way, but he just ran with it. I mean, him and Brittany have been together since 10th grade or whatever.
Yeah, 10th grade.
Whatever. And
I remember seeing her.
I remember when she first came
in the baseball park, and she's running around over there, and that's Patrick's girlfriend, and I'm like, I didn't know her because she was a year older than Patrick and Jake. And then, she eventually worked for us.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad would go watch her play at UT Tyler. And of course, I think she's a lot like my wife. She's like, she's fierce.
Yeah.
Right.
No doubt.
I mean, like people say like, hey, your wife's submissive down there. No. Wait a minute.
Yeah. You just don't know her. You don't know her.
Yeah, that's right. But I know you got to be happy because I would be happy, and I hope that for Jake.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
golly, don't you hope a normal, consistent life with, nothing bad happening? Really?
It makes it a lot easier.
I
It
mean,
definitely makes it a lot easier. And you know, I at first, when she first came back from playing soccer and playing pro ball, I was a little worried because she was going to be there all the time. They had never been, you know, right with each
right,
other.
because when he went to
Yeah,
Texas Tech, she
she
was
went to UT Tyler, and then he went to play Kansas City. She
she went
went
to
to
Iceland,
Iceland, whatever. They'd never been there. So I was kind of worried at first, but then
but that's a solid relationship,
once I
man.
s- once I saw the dynamic and how they were together, I was like, this is a good thing for him.
Yeah.
And then especially in the fact having the success that he had so quickly, it's easy to
Like you said,
go out and
you give me some money, I'll be dead in a year.
exactly. It's easy to go out. I'm the king of Kansas City. I can go out. I can have any woman I want. I can
Right.
do whatever I want.
There's a lot of temptations
Exactly.
in the professional arena.
Exactly. And two things are never undefeated. And that's money and the other.
Yeah,
So
I've heard that.
the other. So
I'm still owing whatever.
her coming back and being that rock and that solid foundation for him has been a blessing in disguise, and he's doing well with it.
I
And
mean,
now that he's got the boy and the girl, I think she says she's gonna have two more, but right now, old Pat, old Grandpa is complete.
well, that's good. And like we started this, it's like, you want your son to be happy,
Oh yeah,
successful,
and better than you are.
better than you,
Yeah,
right?
better than you.
And I know that's going to be true. I know my kids are going to be better than me, and they probably already are. But certainly, everybody has to know because they're so proud of Patrick, and they're not even his father. So now this leads me into the difficulty of life in general and relationships. Patrick's brother Jackson is just as much your son as Patrick is.
Yes, sir, no doubt.
And no one can help it that Patrick excelled like he did and did what he did, right?
No.
It's still hard on people, and I'm sure it's tough on Jackson, right? I mean, because, Jackson's always been the little brother. Patrick's always been kind of a local superstar in a way, right? Ever since we've grown up here. Patrick Mahomes, his dad's a major leaguer. He's probably the best football, baseball, whatever he was playing as we grew up. That had to be hard on Jackson.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. For the simple fact that, his dad was a professional baseball player. His older brother was very significant in all sports, and then he had to, get his path. And I followed him and went to all his games.
You
and
did.
everything,
You did. I saw it.
without a doubt. And he would drop certain. I remember he dropped baseball in Little League. He dropped football when he got to ninth grade, and then he miraculously grew 6 inches and his
all of a sudden he was a center.
Yeah, and he went from playing point guard to center and everything, and he had a good high school basketball career, and actually went to Stephen F. Austin on scholarship to play basketball, and decided that he didn't want to play. But it was always tough because he always got I guess jeered from the fans because
you're not Patrick.
You're not Patrick.
Right? I mean, all that people are cruel, aren't they, Pat?
And people are, and so it was very, very hard for him. So,
They do Brittany that way.
Well, they do both of them that way, and that's why the first 3 years is why I had to go to every game, because I had to go to all the opposing arenas to make sure that nothing was jumping off. So
I mean, you were
I
sitting
could
up in the
protect
box.
them. That was back before Patrick had major league security. So I had to go to all that and see all that, and you know it's hard for him, but he's doing good right now. He's working, and he's working in marketing with a banking company and everything there in Kansas City. So he's doing good. He just has to find his own way.
That's what I was about to say. You took the words out of my mouth. Everybody just has to find their own way.
Yeah, you gotta find their own way.
And look, I've been in trouble. I've done things, whatever. I mean, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, right?
Exactly.
And people need to, I think, in the world, be a little bit more understanding of everybody, from you to Jackson to Brittany to anybody else in their life or at their work, that they don't really understand where they've been, man. I mean, I'm not sure people realize that had you not forged a way into the pros, Patrick might not have an understanding or even a desire to have ever attempted any of this. I mean, you know the conversations with him when he's little. I mean, you know what he said, and you gotta feel like you probably helped push him to that as a possibility when he was young.
Well, I mean, we all have heroes and people that we look up to, and it could be sports, it could be anything, but when you come into an atmosphere of being around a person that's playing sports or done something like that, everybody, it's like
People cheering.
You want to be like your parents. I mean,
that's the first instinct.
Exactly. You want to be your parents and whatever. And that's why I kind of knew that Patrick was special, because I remember it was in the early stages when me and Randy, when Randy had him, and in the early years when we were, she came to Minnesota to live with me, and we were going on the road and doing different things, and Patrick was getting old, 2-3 years old, and he's running around with the plastic bat and the plastic ball, and I'm throwing balls in my sleep, and he's hitting the ring in the hotel room, all day. I'm throwing the ball, he's hitting it, he come bring it back, and I'm sleeping in the bed throwing it to him. I'm like, boy, this son is unrelentless. He gonna stay up all day. He never slept. Whatever. And you kind of knew that, yeah, something's gonna be a little different with this kid than others. And then, have Jackson, and he started, and he was more of a mechanic. He was like, I'd buy him those electric tractors. He flip them over on the back. He'd have it out. He had his gas station out there. You come in and get gas. He's a repairman. So, you just kind of look at both of them. You're like, okay, this is what he gonna do. This is what he gonna do. And you just kind of live with it. But, it's all been great, man. I mean, I'm fortunate to have, friends like you that were intricate parts in his life that have led to what we got. I mean, people say that, this and that and this and that, but you don't understand. I mean, I don't think you even realize how many times me and Jake have been outside somewhere crying together, me and him together, because of stuff that we've been through, and I knowing what he feeling, because I feel like he's like me. He's like me more than my son is like me. I mean, he's like me and all that, and all that.
Bad luck.
No, I'm just saying we're just just different athletes, different cut from different cloths, and everything. And so it's funny to me about how everything is, because an athlete, you can't, either they got it or they don't. And you can look at a person and see. And that's why I always would tell you, I said, oh, he's different. Now, somebody else that don't know, they might not can see, but I know what an athlete is, and that's an athlete. And that's why I say, well, Patrick, he does it right, and he's great, and he definitely knows how to do it, but he's always in here.
He definitely knows how to do it. Well, obviously the most recent success is the last Super Bowl. And what's funny, in a way, it's not funny, it's fun. The divisional championship game. Patrick has a box. I don't know if he pays for that or they give it to him, because it's a good box, right? But I got the good fortune of going to the divisional championship game. And can you believe I've never been to a Kansas City game until December?
No, I did not know that.
I mean, look, nobody watched him
more than you. Not that growing up.
No. And then I watched every Texas Tech game, every Kansas City game, but I never went because, I don't know. It's too cold out there at that tailgate with you. There's some crazy people out there in shorts. But anyway, what's funny is, you're kind of known for that win in the cigar, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that came about, other than beforehand Joe Burrow would smoke a cigar. I don't really know exactly how that got going, but how did that get going?
Well, it's kind of crazy. I had seen, LSU, Joe Burrow smoke a cigar. I'd seen him smoke cigars after other games and stuff, especially after they beat the Chiefs the year before. And so I had called Patrick, and like I said, and it sounds crazy that I keep saying this. He's not my Jake. He's not my Jake.
You wanted him to talk some noise.
Yeah, I want him to talk some noise. So
but that's not Patrick.
Yeah, it's not him. So I had told him, I heard all this barrelhead talk, and the mayor talking about my son was,
we need to have a DNA test.
DNA test and all that. So I had called Patrick during the week.
Kelsey says,
which I normally don't call him during the week. I let him do his thing. I text him before the games, but I normally don't. And I tell him, I said, hey, I'm bringing a couple cigars to the game. I said, after y'all whip their ass, you're going to light that cigar and smoke that damn cigar in their face, And so he said, okay. So I bring the cigars or whatever. And so mess around. I get up in the suite, have a few too many cocktails. I'm feeling kind of nice. And then we end up winning the game.
We kick a field goal.
We end up winning the game. And Brittany was like, light that shit up. Light it up. And so then I'm caught off guard because I got the cigar, but I ain't got nothing but a Bic. So I'm trying to light this son bitch, and it won't light. It won't light up. So, and my my tactile dexterity ain't that good at the time. So
hey, the windows were open in the box.
Yeah,
and it felt like 0 degrees.
It was 0 degrees. It's blowing.
Right,
and I couldn't get it lit. So then once we got on the field, the reporter just happened to catch me in the right spot, and that's where you got the Joe Burrow from.
And then Brittany Lynn, she took that picture, and then somebody texted me and goes, hey, Chad, I see you. And I had no idea. Do you see me?
I see you.
In the corner?
I see.
I had no idea. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then there I was, standing in the back while you were firing up the Joe Burrow head.
I'm trying to fire it up. I finally got it lit.
Well, this season is about to start. It's going to be exciting. Everybody has high expectations. The parity in the league with quarterbacks is getting excited, don't you think?
Man, it's gonna be crazy, man. The AFC is wild,
Ah,
man. You got so many great quarterbacks in that league. Um, I don't know. I mean, every week is. I mean, like they say, any given Sunday, it's gonna be crazy. I think the Chiefs are in a good spot, but them boys from LA, them Chargers. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got Miami.
I mean,
You
the
got
whole
the
league is
whole
good.
AFC. I mean, you can't.
Even with Sean Payton back to the Broncos.
Whoever gets left out, and that don't mean they had a bad season.
All right. So, Patrick and Jackson, they kind of graduate, they go on. Tell us, what have you been doing with yourself? Have you stayed in sports or have you done something else? What have you been doing since then?
Well, I've been working in the youth space, which is near and dear to my heart. I have a couple of select baseball teams. Baseball's always been,
That's what you know.
what I know. So I have a 14U team. I have a 17U team that I work with. I also do a lot of stuff for MLB. For its camps and different stuff like that. But
They pay you for this?
yeah, they pay me for this. And then I have this new thing that we're getting ready to unveil, and I can't be too forward about it, but I'm gonna tell you it's gonna change East Texas. It's gonna change a lot of stuff around the world that we're doing. And
is it related to baseball?
it's related to baseball, but we got some other avenues into it too. We're gonna have some.
Is it a biometrics, analytics? Is it next generation technology or related to sports?
All that, and a bag of chips. We're gonna have.
Well, at least there's a bag of chips.
We're gonna have some SI campuses. We're gonna have some SI villages. I'm partnering with Sports Illustrated. It's gonna be called First Pitch.
Well, that's good. So this is something that's new and it's coming, and you're a big part of
A
it.
big part of it is me, Eric Davis, Jeffrey Hammonds.
Are these guys? I know Eric Davis, but I don't know Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Hammonds, he played for the Orioles. He went to Stanford. He's a big baseball guy. It's about 7, 8 of us. And
what role do they want you to take with this new project?
Oh, well, I'm gonna be, of course, one of the instructors, but I'm doing some stuff with. We're gonna have a golf tour. We're gonna have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different experiences that are going on. So, of course, they want the name. Patrick.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
they want something Mahomes, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I haven't asked you that yet, but I was curious about that. What opportunities, financial, business wise, you may have had a chance for or do have because of, Patrick's Mahomes name.
Well, I mean, I book deals.
Have you signed a book deal?
No, haven't done it.
They want you to write the book?
They won't. They won't. They made him. They even ghostwrite it. Some of them.
I just did the book.
Yeah, they won't. They want me to do all that. There's book deals. There's casino deals, steakhouses. Like Manning Steakhouse and all that. But the thing that
I thought you would have had a Kansas City steakhouse by now.
Well, I would have. But the thing that I do that most parents don't do is that I run every opportunity that I have
by
across Patrick.
That's right.
And if he's not comfortable with it, then
right.
I can hold out on it.
Well, and that says something about you as a father. And I know exactly how you feel. Like, I have a son the same age in your son's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was doing something and it was embarrassing to him, or if it tarnished his brand, I mean, I'm not sure I could really go through it, even if I made some money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
Exactly. I could go do it and say, hell with you, I'm your
Hey,
daddy.
you got 400
Yeah,
million.
yeah, I'm your daddy. I want to, wet my beak,
I
and get
brought you
my
in this
money.
world. I'll take you out.
I want to do it, but I don't. I run it by him, and if he gives me the okay, I do it. I do it. But this is something that I've done without his name, and
Right.
that, so I feel proud about it because I've been in this space for so long now, working with these kids and doing this stuff. I've had probably 63 kids now get drafted into the
From the
major league.
teams that you
Yeah,
coach, the
that from the
select
teams
teams.
that I've coached, and 90% going to college. So that's something that I can pump my chest out, when I get up in the morning and everything.
Because you didn't go to college.
Exactly. Exactly. But at least I'm giving you an opportunity to keep playing baseball as long as you can play, and then you can get an education out of it too. So that's great.
Well, and you probably offer a lot of the same experiences, bad for you, good for them, like you did Patrick, that might be helpful to these kids that are coming through the teams you're coaching.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, it sounds like you're optimistic about the business venture that's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a great thing. I'm gonna have a brand new facility here within the next year, and it's gonna provide the kids here in East Texas with a lot of opportunities. We got a lot of outstanding technology that's going on that's going to change the game of baseball as far as we've seen it around this area. So I'm just so happy to be a part of it. And once we get it rolling and going, we're gonna we're gonna open it up and everybody will know about it.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the decreasing numbers of black athletes in Major League Baseball over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when you played, it was there was a lot more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But access to the game or technology to learn the skills to compete at that level are a big part of that, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the MLB work I do is for that too. We're trying to increase the numbers of black guys and black kids in the sport. It's coming.
Because the select teams that you and I witnessed firsthand,
oh yeah,
they were in
yeah.
Dallas. I mean, I'm not saying a thing about it,
Yeah,
but it was all rich, all white, because it was
baseball's an expensive sport.
Very expensive.
It's an expensive sport. You gotta get bats, you gotta get helmets, you gotta get shoes.
Most people think like, okay, I'm gonna give me a bat and a glove.
Yeah.
No, those bats are $600.
Exactly.
That glove, that's almost $300.
Exactly.
Now that coach is coaching the select team.
He's gonna charge you $5.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
if you want to be anything in baseball nowadays, it's almost like you have to be a member of a country club to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Golf or tennis or pickleball, I guess they got them.
They trying to open that up to the masses.
Yeah. I think Travis and Patty just opened up a chicken and pickle or whatever, something.
Yeah, I saw something about that. But well, what you mentioned Travis. Before we go, Travis, Travis has kind of been Patrick's best friend, from his, beginnings in Kansas City to now. Would you say?
Travis is a rich man's Jake. He's a rich man's Jake.
I mean, they act like, Patrick one time told me he was like from the hood or something in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And the New Heights podcast,
New Heights,
is like he and his brother are,
to be honest with you, I have more fun with Travis than I do with Patrick. Yeah, Travis is to Patrick and Jake. Travis is my Jake.
Yeah, but Travis is not married.
No,
is he?
No.
All right.
No.
So there's a bit of freedom there. Sorry, Travis, for this, but there's a bit of freedom that he has that Patrick doesn't have. So I mean, it's not fair of you to say that.
No. I'm just saying that we're best friends.
And,
did we just become friends?
The reason, now that leads to me, you watch the podcast,
okay,
the New Heights with
New Heights.
When Patrick went on there, and they brought you up, Travis said, Silky P. Where did the Silky P name come from?
It came from basketball when I was in high school.
You had a silky shot?
Yeah. Well, every time I hear it, they said it was nothing but silk. But it's funny. It's funny. The first time I met Mr. Kelsey was Patrick.
Travis and Jason and his
no Travis.
Oh,
first time I met Mr. Kelsey, Mr. Travis Kelsey.
He had a suit with a tank top on.
No. We were in L.A. It was Patrick's first. He had started in week 17 the year before, but his first year he started. He started a quarterback, and they were in L.A. Patrick threw 4 touchdowns. I think he threw for about 323 yards or something the first game.
Who was it against?
Against the Chargers. And I think Kelsey caught like 3 passes for like 39 yards.
Oh, yeah. I heard this story. He was mad.
Yeah. And I told him, and then after then, we've been boys.
He's like, hey, he's going to throw you the ball.
Yeah, you got to get open. You got to get open.
Oh, well, we've been going a long time, and, man, we have crossed topics from when you were 17 to you're now, you just turned 53 in August?
Mm-hmm.
53, wow. Your son will be 28 next month.
Yep. This month. Couple weeks.
Yeah, we're almost to September. He's September 17th.
Yep, 17th.
I'm 23. I'll be 56. But anyway, it's an exciting time for you as a father. It has to be. I can't only imagine. It's been a great time for me to have you on the show. I know we've talked about a lot of stuff, and it's just, I haven't seen this interview done. And I knew you so well that I just felt that it had to be, somebody had to ask a few more questions other than Patrick grew up in a locker room with a major league player and he's always done things right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I appreciate you, brother, for being here on the show with the podcast that who knows what it's going to be, if anything, but I don't care. I just enjoy doing it. But thanks for being on today.
Oh, man, it's been a pleasure. Hey, when you reached out and asked me about it, I couldn't wait to do it. We don't been through so much together, all these years. I mean, people see us and think that, this happened just now. Hey, our history is by itself. We couldn't even put all that shit on the podcast, but it's been a great time, and I'm just so glad that you had me here, baby.
All right, man. Thanks, Pat.
All right. Thank you, Chad.
All right.